Welcome, people. Happy Sunday. And getting closer and closer. I feel we're super close to 10 days of darkness, and I'm going to map out a lot of things today. For me, it is becoming more and more clear now. It's crystal clear, and the real truth is about the whole story. We've just been kind of gathered into a little corner of what goes on in the world, but this is like the peak part of what we've learned over the last few years. So going to make it a good one today. It's going to continue on from the video that I did the other day about the spirals and the shape of the world and 4D. Like that's the key part. So if you can keep 4 dimensions in mind and just know it doesn't make sense unless you go into creation. Creation is when you go inside your body and feel your senses to make sense. So it's letting love into your life, it's letting God into your life. But once it's explained to you like this, it'll make complete sense. And you'll see straight away the gatekeepers through history. So the whole story now, what is happening to me, is showing me how it's all unfolding. And also from the back of that, I understand my body more, understand how buildings are made. I'm going to show you all the unfair things that we've had done to us, and the government are so bad, and this, and at the other layer of that, the higher layer of it, we've caught them all, we've replaced them all, we've turned this into like the biggest sting operation ever. And by the end of today's call, I know that people are going to get excited about what we have to come, and also it's going to be that spark. It's like, what are we fighting for? And then all of a sudden it puts everything in perspective. It's going to really hit home for certain people, really hit home. And again, you'll start seeing that God only wins. That's the key part. But everything that we see in the world, everything that's been presented to us, every bit of our history, we're going to get it back. And I'm going to show you some really amazing things. So, hey, people. Hey, April. Hey, Cherry. Hey, Debbie. Hey, Tracy. Hey, Law. Hey, Nicola. Welcome, people. Yeah, get involved in the chat today as well. Let me know if people did watch the last episodes and has anything changed for you since watching it. Because this is my other thing. I'm sharing a message. I'm sharing information. I've realized the key to all of this, though, is it has to connect back into your life. And someone was commenting on my videos the other day and asking questions, and it'd be like, what about the children? What about cutting down the trees? What about... Yeah, it's just people asking the question. I said, what trees? What trees are you talking about? Who's they cutting them down? There's no reason to ask questions if you have nothing to attach it to. So ask in as king. This is what all of today comes to. We are the king, the royalty. And when we view life in 4D from this perspective, you're always in control. And if you do that every day, then everything you do going forward will be in more present. And you know that when you are out of presence, that's when things that take place in our life come for a teaching. And it's like we ask it on ourselves. So hi, everyone in the chat. Hi, happy Sunday, everyone. Yeah, happy Sunday as well. First of all, so that who watched that one, any shifts that you're noticing now, especially looking at people presenting information? Have you noticed it's kind of gone a bit of standstill in terms of there's not really much research going on? It's just like, look at that plane up in the sky. Look at this executive order. Not much at all. Look at Ukraine. Look at Israel. Hamas this, Israel that. It's not telling us anything. It's standstill. And you're seeing, again, when we view it from this perspective, it changes. It's a game changer. So informative, and I thank you for them and your research. You are welcome. I'll still have to watch the other video. It looks very interesting. For me, it ties all of the stuff that we've ever looked into and the bigger perspective, and also God, and also why people have stopped this happening. And again, you can start seeing that the world that we've been told it, or how we've led to believe it, none of it does make sense. So there's always been questions going, well, how did they do that? How did they take over the Commonwealth? How did they build them buildings? Like, how? It must have had 2 million people doing those buildings in a minute. As soon as you see this, you're going to go, oh, oh, that's obvious. We start from the top, working down. God, people, is the story right now that's continuing. As the sun goes down, it's revealing more land. God is revealing itself, his creation. The sun goes in a spiral down and it goes up. So we're going to use simple things to mirror, because every creation is just an extension of God, everything. So if you start from the very, very star in the sky and look down, everything's been created, and to where we are, the Son of God, the soul, we're all the souls, we're all children. You can label yourself children of the darkness and children of light. It's whatever you've been born into and whatever you've chosen to accept as a truth. And then all the stories that go on top of this, like it had to be this way. You're never going to get love. You're only going to be saved waiting for Christ. You're going to burn in death only if you believe it. And that's been passed on so much that it's been ingrained, and it's so hard to break through. And also, before it was very hard to break through, is because we saw evil everywhere. You saw certain things happen. I've even seen how they get you so bad. These people, they know how it works. Like, your kids are born deformed. I've connected so many people in my life now. There's this whole ranking system in the darkness. It's like what they keep showing us on the TV, the China credit score. That's the evil system. And I found that as I've gone searching for the truth, I've been met with more and more different groups of people. So they work in groups. And it's almost like snakes and ladders. You have to go up the ladders, but as you go up, they're all watching you. And yeah, a big teachings for me was going through the corporate world and being in the city of London. So I'm going to take all that, and I want people to start thinking about your life. So you're going to see there's been a lot of people that have come into your life. Then you had a period, and then you met some of their friends, and then they knew that person, and that was that massage therapist. They come, and then sometimes they just disappear, and you don't see them at all anymore. You don't hear from them unless you invite them back into your life. If you look at it from a game of chess as a computer game, you go up in levels, your competition gets harder, your competition gets more clever, and you'll start seeing that the people that go up higher, they don't have like a role, they don't have a label or a football team or anything. They blend in. And it's the people right at the top, they work from energy. They work from the biblical side of things, they know it's free will. So they work in a unit, in an outfit, the smart ones that you would look at in normal society, and you wouldn't put them into any high categories. But in terms of knowledge, in terms of setting environments up, in terms of using each other to get intel, to get you to badmouth someone else, to then give that person the justification then to screw you over because you've called it on yourself. Everything, like even fighting back in the day, where I was born in England, it was like the schools were set up to corrupt the children of the light and the children of dark. You used to have like grammar schools. Yeah, I remember all the kids that come out of it were rough, like really rough, like parents and stuff like that. And even the names of the schools. There was one called Bishop's Holt, which was like a good school. They were halting the bishops. Doway martyrs, they were the martyrs. Like, and I was born in Hillingdon, London. London's the highest point in the UK. UK was one of the last lands to be found. Yeah, but it was the UK that got the knowledge of all the worlds above them. They were the travelers, they were the explorers, and they learned from life itself. They learned through generations. They learned through inspiration, creation. They had people that took it on. And the wisdom just got more and more as the world started revealing itself. And again, we'll go through the model. But if you look at it knowing that there's always been light, the light are always the first to find things. They're the curious ones. They're the first to build things. That's the inspiration. That's authenticity. That's the connection with God. So everything gets done first with God, but always what happens next, the moon follows the sun. And when it finally gets round to it, it takes over, it uses power, it kills, aggression, all the opposite things to God. And it's just been a cat and mouse chase all the way through, like life. Started at Israel with the people right at the top. And then you start seeing the people were mostly trying to get away from evil when there was more land. They spread out and all of a sudden they come back again. So I really want to try to paint the whole story today and get people. This would be imagination session for a lot of you. It's like a story tale. However, you only can make sense of it yourself. What I would say to you, though, after this, if you see that everything is a mirror, everything that we're being shown, every bit of creation is being inspired by something outside, or what we're seeing now with the technology inside. We've already known all this stuff, and a lot of the information that we have been shown has been held back from us. We've all been dumbed down deliberately. It's turned it right on its head. Everything that we've been told is a lie deliberately. Because when that first happened, they tricked the evil people to tell them, look what we're doing, we're deceiving them. With the bigger goal in mind, knowing what the rest of a lifetime of history takes place, they've had to do it this way. And it's magic. So you do it through generations, you do it so you get through families. And then when the new breed come in, they're not familiar with how history works. So they've now got caught in the lie. Everything that you've seen, every narrative we've been shown, we've been in control of it. Every storyline, because if you look back in the Shakespeare time, we were the writers too. So you write the story knowing that every part of creation, evil will get their hands on it next and then take power. If you can start working out how then that has happened, is if all the land's getting revealed going down a tower. So the best way to look at the world that we live on, it's a massive, massive mountain, a massive, massive tree. And it starts way at the top. And the highest lands are the hottest lands, are the flattest lands. That was like the very first. And the way that the maps are now, it looks like we've got different continents and we're all, it's only because there's loads of drops that take place. So as the sun goes down around the mountain over a lifetime, you'll start seeing that certain lands that were connected, now all the water gets in the way or there's a big drop. You then lose connection. So I talk about the indigenous. You've got Australia, which is miles away. Then you've got the indigenous in Central South America. Then you have in Africa. You have all these different tribes. So it's kind of like they spread off and each part of land spirals down. So let me get going anyway. Let me see, catch up. So I'll jump back in. I've never watched the movies. Been catching up though. I just watched Truman Show last night. How did you find it, Amos? And this is why I also know everything that we've been told, the narrative has always been pushed by the evil people. So they are pointing at Hollywood saying, Hollywood, they're awful, they're bad, they're pedos, they're this, they're this. And we get shown that too. Remember, this is all deliberate. Hollywood is Holywood. To create movies the way they do, you only can be in God's space. If evil people create the movies, then they'll get composers to put the music on. That music will be put on at the right times. It will draw people into what's being shown still, information, truth. Evil is truth. Because if evil's happened in your lifetime, you now see it. So we need to see both ends, duality of life. Every movie now is showing us the world. That's what the truth is being up to date with what's going on in the world right now. Not going back to the very beginning of time from what we know and hold on to that story as truth. That's how some people live their life. Some people will go to another country and sit next to a man meditating for a month or 2 months or 3 months, and they think they're going to become enlightened. Just some random dude in the middle of nowhere. Like, these people have powers, but that doesn't make you have it. You might have a few good conversations. You might get some wisdom passed. It doesn't make you enlightened. As a one-off, it's every day we do that. And all these knowledge and all this stuff, they didn't have to travel. The Brits had to because they were on a small little island, and that's why it was called United Kingdom. They were the connectors. And then they used to learn from all of it. And this is how we started writing time, the shape of the earth, the compass, the story, leaving clues in plain sight. We got to go beyond labels of different wars as well, like in the British and the American War, 1776. I feel that there was a partnership that took place then as well. Because if we forget countries and just go down the creation, every time they'll find new land, they do their research, and then over time, other people find out about it and then try to dominate and take over. So as it would have gone through the lands, you would have had people connecting in God in every era. If you just look at martial arts as well, especially in Asia, the way that they move their bodies, the discipline that takes place, that's connecting with God. So there would have been, and I've searched different things with the Freemasons in every country at every period. In China, it's really cool to see, like they were against the communist. And then when you hear cartels, mafias, like all these different names are from all the different generations going down. It's magic when you start seeing it, people. So royal family would have been like the Nazis, and the Nazis would have been like the mafia, and the mafia then would have been like the triads, and then the Tamil tigers, and you like it would have just gone all the way up. Evil works one way, and this system is all the way goes all the way up to the top to the Kingdom of Saudi, and you're seeing all the terrorists now, Hamas, and all the Palestinian support that comes out on the streets. This is like the last level of Antifa. And the people in the truth movement now that are getting so triggered about Hamas and did it is because those people are funding these. Everything at the top goes down. And like I said, that class system, you got to do certain things to make a bit of money. And you can start seeing the system inside out, all the way down to the prison, which is then like an education system to get back into society. And they have people in all these different positions. They make all these different coaching courses, fitness courses. Then they know exactly what gyms to get them a job in and what places they can go to change their name. And like, it's a system. And in return for that, they then become a spy. They become an agent of some sort. They all work together. It all works together. And it's almost like people are being assigned to you, and their whole role is to corrupt you. So even things like festivals, people, and they scare you about drugs are so bad and drugs are this. Festivals are a very close way to getting with God. The people that do drugs, and you've had all these experiences, that's why people chase them. It shows you how to get God, but then it also hits the other side of what it does to the human experience. God is just that without the come down. Yet they call it fest evil, because all that energy enhanced, which is love, then gets corrupted. The dealers come in, the fighters come in, the thieves come in. Like it's fest evil. Church, the same thing. You get everyone there for the right reasons, and they harness that energy. They send a bad message out. It's conditioning. So sports games. I never understood football hooliganism. Never understood it. Didn't make any sense to me at all. And then it just spread across the world. It's because they know that good people love to be entertained. So we're going to get others, while they're young, we're conditioning them to be our soldiers, to convert them. It's dark versus light at every level. Everything is going to make, everything just connects. I can only see the advert. I never watched movies. Oh, no, sorry. Go back to his name page again. Yeah, just refresh the page. Love your perspective. I'm starting to realize it's about love. Thank you for your dedication. You are welcome. That's all it comes down to. Love. But love is not something that they've advertised to us, where it's like the most euphoric high. That love is just the silence inside you without needing to do anything. It's the bliss, it's the calmness. That's the truth. And then from that, as a foundation, you go and experience all the sort of highs, but you appreciate every single one that comes your way now. Harry, you're amazing. Thank you for all your knowledge. Thank you. You're welcome. Are they exposing all the Israeli operatives in the government? We're in control of all the governments now, Tony. Everything you're seeing is a movie. It's not about exposing. You're going to find out about certain stuff, but everything what we're seeing is a movie. The big bit is the belly of the beast. It's all the normal people in society. That's what all this movie is about, because that gets cleared up first, whilst the movie gets presented to us, leaving us then with the finale, which I'm also going to show you. We're very close. I feel the 10 Days of Darkness are going to be within the next week or so, and I'll put that out there. I'm confident now, actually, just with everything, that this is the last step for people to know what it means to be king. Soon as you become aware of it, and again, you work on 4D from energy. Every day you set that intention that you're above everyone else. So I look at myself now, I can imagine myself at the top of the kingdom of a castle, and I can see all the land below me. So I'm the highest point I can possibly go. I put my mum and dad at literally the little level below me. So whenever I communicate with them, we're already on the same level. We can go up or down to each other. Anyone else that comes into my life, in my vision, I'm seeing, right, what are they saying? Are they meeting with love? Are they, oh no, they're quite aggressive. I'm looking at them down there. Look, if you want to come up here and have a conversation, change your attitude, change your energy, sort your energy out first. I'm not coming down there. I've done that work already. I've done that. If you want to come up, meet me at love. Everything I do now, I just look at levels, everything. When I train my body now, I'm thinking, right, if I look down, I've got 7 major joints. They all work with each other. So if I just do this, it's a link. Your body's the mountain and everything goes downwards. If you look how they built old buildings and like how they must have had all this old technology, they were tapped into the creation, but the land was revealing itself going down. So when certain buildings, they say, took thousands of years to make, it was done with patience, precision. They mirrored the sky. They were closer up to it back then. That's why they knew the stars. When it gets lower down, now we have the meaning. Life is a spiral. You go up and down. So the body, if you look at 1D, that's the soul in the sky, the Son of God. It comes down into the mind's eye of God. That's 2D. The mind's eye is a choice, yin or yang. So this is the levels. We start at 3D, body, mind, soul. So for us to be in line with God, first of all, it's got to be yes or no. The truth or opposite, God or ego, soul, ego. So if you get that right, so you start from going down. So you get to the bottom of your foundation where you start, your feet are on the ground, and then you go back up again. And then you come down. To go back up, and this is where most people struggle, you have to be in that love space. But if you bring it back to the yin and yang, love is easy to understand. It's one or the other, negative or positive. Okay, you know what the truth is. So focus on your words, negative or positive, on each word that you speak. You cannot be God if you're swearing. You can't say fuck in a nice way. You can't do that. So people, like, they make excuses for themselves. They make excuses for loads of different things. If you choose to be it that way, you've owned it. You've taken care of it. Okay, so let's go back, because I tried explaining this to my mum and they were just like completely bamboozled. And I realized that I'm trying to put all this into words. So my first encouragement, and this again, people, if you really want to know the truth, come and do a meditation with me, because it's so much easier for you to experience. And the only way that you experience God is to let go of the body and the mind. So that tomorrow I've got a really powerful one lined up. It's created all this. I've simplified it so down. Turn up. Don't even worry if it's a meditation or whatever you call it. Just close your eyes and listen to my voice, but feel. And I promise you all, this will make so much more sense. As soon as you view life in 4D, like look down dimensions, but use the outside world now with what you know to make sense of it. Love your perspective. I'm starting to realize. Hi, Ardy. Expressive comment. Harry, you're amazing. Lost count here. On what you're saying earlier, are you saying that some people in our day-to-day lives always? There's a whole system. It's like a network. When I come back from Brazil and I went to the UK, I met all the UK truthers, but I already knew that half of them weren't in their truth anyway. So it's like I skipped half of them. So, but they were teams. They work together. They're clever. And they will try to ear and bad mouth each other. I can name them all. I can name them all, and some of them didn't want to go near me anyway, and I didn't understand why. Some of them I thought, why are they giving coupon codes, and why are they mugging people off with their mortgage? I was like, they're scamming people. So I called out certain them. I got put in different groups, and straight away I get kicked out of them. The Greg Hallett, the King, in 2020, like, I was sharing some good stuff. I got kicked out. So I started wondering why. So it's groups. And then remember where we are in this part here, people, you lot watching. I'm telling you, in terms of your knowledge, if you look at the world now, at the base of the world and the rest of the world's above us, the base of the world is the UK, the English-speaking countries. We effectively have been contained from letting the other countries know what's really going on. And what will happen is that there's going to be a lot of people that need waking up, the normies, we call it, our love, but they're still going to be in line with everyone else around the world. And then within the truth movement, we're going to get met with more shocks than anyone else. Yet we're ready for it. And all I encourage people, be ready for it. Every person in here as a percentage, I'd say it's more of the children of, I'm going to call them children of darkness. If you take that label or not, it's children of light, children of darkness, doing work for the opposite of God. And if we go back through history, you're doing work for the evil of evil at the top that tried to do everything they can to destroy God's creation. So it's mind-blowing when you think about it like this. And now it makes sense. They will never be able to walk down the street again, the Q posts. There's different layers to what the meanings are. There's certain things that a lot of the truthers don't talk about, like Donald Trump's human trafficking. They do all the law and orders and everything else. They refuse to talk about that one. But why? Because that one tells them what to look out for and what's going to happen to these people. And no deals, no deals. I was always like, well, it says it on the first post that they had to make deals with politicians. No deals for people playing the game now. It's a whole society, it's a whole network. How do you think certain artists, they'll do one song and it blows up? Or there'll be a video and everyone gets on it. There's a network going on. We need to be on here. We need to promote this one. We need to say, Thingy Bob sent me, and we all jump on. Like all the different big truthers I've been in a conversation with, they all fall off by the wayside or they cut me off. But they're all linked. And I can see it all clearly now as well. That's why they try to take you out. That's why they try to take you out, because it's exposing public humiliation. They're exposing themselves now just by their still to the part of believing their own lies. That's what they're doing. And that all starts with the Bible. Any born-again Christians that have been brought into that story of the Savior, Jesus Christ, a lot of criminals are in that. And I'm saying that, again, from personal experience, when I got screwed over in my gym businesses, with a company that was born-again Christians, helping bring kids back into the world, give them opportunity. They were terrible. Like, it was awful. And I've realized that there's ways back into society. They do it like this. And the born-again Christians, anything to do with Jesus Christ, as you're waiting for a savior, I've noticed that a lot of people that know the Bible inside out are corrupt because they've had to learn it over the years to keep this lie going. They change the truth. The ones at the top, these people are the most clever. So just know that you're in a pot of clever people and you're still breaking through because something in you's connecting. And it's just going up the mountain. It's almost like the higher up you go, they can't come now. Because the one thing that I've learned on this, anytime that anyone talks with fear at all, I address that first. So I'm looking down at them. You can't, it's like your head gets up the clouds. But they've got less people they can send to you. And every now and then, this random person will come out the woodwork, or they'll send someone that's been retired for so long and they try it, and they try mind games. When you're aware of it, they have no power. And that's 4D. That's why they talk about ascension. That's why they talk about connecting with source, connecting with the Most High. Yes, it's crazy when you connect it all. Make you open to the truth. We have to break free from the dome. No, we don't. No, we don't. We'll go through all that. People, to break free, this outside world is not the truth. It's inside. The levels of the soul, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 means we've gone to the human experience, we've gone back up and got understanding. Now we're ready to go into the depths of what God can do. And through the soul that's always here, awareness, we're just part of the story. A really good book for me is a must listen to, because you need to hear the way that he describes it. Is Terence Stance, which is an amazing actor anyway. It's called Perfect Brilliant Stillness. David Carson is the writer of it. Have to read it, because it challenges the ego. I can't quite grasp what you're saying. You move about so quickly, and I connect things as quickly as you, but little bits I do not understand are eye-opening. I'll try to be a bit still. I'm excited, that's all. So I'll ask lots of questions today. Johnny D. Hi, John. Oh, hi, John and Lisa. Loving this. It's on another dimension. Everything. They get above you every day. When, like, London's the highest point in the UK, and I've realized why they build high buildings. And I realized why the big CEOs sit up there. The big CEOs have nothing to do with corporate life. It's about stopping God's people getting up. And a lot of the corporate world, these companies, not companies, they just go in a mix. Recruitment companies, they just recruiting the God's people, sticking them in right flings and setting up a whole story for them. I was in the biggest drug dealing operation in my first gym, and my mate was the one who invited me up there. And I realized that there was one big drug dealer that worked there, and everyone was like, oh, he had his own enforcer and stuff. But I didn't click until a few weeks ago that all of them were in on it. The whole gym was, and my whole life got kind of paved. I got set up with a person that was to be my handler, and it's like a battle. That's the life that we live in. That's the spiritual aspect. That's going to be hard to take. A lot of people's role. Just don't let them get up. Cocaine. Look at the word cocaine. Co and then Cain. Cain and bull. Cannibal. You co-create with Cain. That takes you to the very low. It's energy. When you're alcohol, because this is the same war, it's the draining of bodily spirits. So when your spirits, your soul vents the body, all the evil spirits can get inside you. That's when you get corrupted. That's when you do things because you're out your mind. They know that. The corporate world, yeah, you've been advertised. That's how you make money. That's how you be successful. That's how you get a dream life. But you're also surrounded by predators to get you in strip clubs, brothels, meetings, all sorts of stuff. And it's almost like my clients as a personal trainer, that's the best way to do it. They come to you. They come to you. They entice you into their world. And they also use each other. Yeah, my whole personal training company and the 12 years I was in London, it was almost like I was in the belly of the beast in the UK, in that city. It's called the Square Mile. There's over 400,000 people every day that comes into that part. I met some really interesting characters, wealthy as they were my clients. Now I look back and they're all connected. And I realized how certain people knew each other. And I also realized the people at the very top in corporate were all geezers. They're all like common, and and that was my biggest surprise about the city. I was like, oh, they're just normal people. I thought they were just bankers and rah and stuff. They're geezers from Essex. But if we're going up to dark versus light, they were corrupt as. All they did was corrupt people. They sold fake land. They sold vineyards. They sold air. There was hedge funds that they just on world tragedy events. That's how they made money. So they got everyone's money to get. It's crazy, people. It's the whole world's been a lie in that sense. But you're going to see it was all worthwhile. Let me go through it all today. Levels. I can't take negativity from anyone. Love all the way. It's so peaceful. It's amazing, right? Especially when you get above it. Get above the high. Hello, Denise. What time? Tomorrow be 9 p.m. the UK and 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Hi, Jen. The meditations are truly amazing. Thank you. Harry, I'm finally seeing 33 everywhere since the Ladybird before my surgery. Love that, Jen. How's the recovery going? Again, for me, there's a heavy harness that's weighing down on people, and certain people like yourself, it just breaks free of it. God's up. All the films like the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, it's just keep going up. Think about your life now, and as you're going up the mountain, is the more knowledge you get. And then as you go up, the certain people you meet in your life, they're a bit more upgraded, a bit more sophisticated, a bit more cleaner, a bit more neater. There's different levels, and then there's different paths that you could have took. And then certain people come back into your life again. Go up the mountain to the point where you always are above them first. So imagine you're starting tomorrow and you're going down the mountain. So if anything doesn't ring true now, it's not coming into your castle, not coming into your kingdom. You're right. Can you promote this? No. 40 is the time, man. I won't promote anyone else's stuff now until the new world. 33 is everywhere for both. Love that. The loops, I just used the music. Give my channel to go. Chill on mine. Good luck with your channel. Give my channel a go to chill. Have you watched any of my Connecting the Dots, Monkey Dust? We're just coming on near advertising. Hi, Tammy. Good to see you. Harry, when do you say the 10 Days of Darkness? Can you explain what you think that will look like? Do you think it'll be locked down? It's taking place already, but I'm going to say next week. I'll show you. I'll show you what I got. What was the name of the book? Perfect Brilliant Stillness. Questions like that. Is Nasara and Jasara real? How many times have you asked that question? Is it real based on what? What is real? If it is real, what does that mean to you, Patriot? That's what I want people, when they're asking questions now, what does that mean? Is Nasara, if I said yes, what does that mean to you? I want the answers so we can be a bit more... Yeah, Nasara, Jasara, XRP, all the gold, silver, all the things that they were telling us, it has nothing to do with any of that. Like it literally has nothing at all, because the world that we know is a new world waiting for us. I'm going to show you. It's so exciting. It's got me more excited than ever from the human aspect for the rest of my life, but also knowing that it's a continual God story. Like we're all part of it. You can choose to get involved. You can choose to go against God. That's the next time you come back. I'm going to be evil. And the reason why I'm saying this now, because I know there's a lot of people that are still choosing to do wrong. They're still being the intel. They're still being the spot. You're not going to get away with it. You may get the second chance, but the second chance only comes with God, which means you have to tell your story. It doesn't change that way. And I'm going to show you today where people are going to want to find God, because it's going to blow your mind of what we got waiting for us. Blow it. And I can back this up with quite a lot of stuff now. I get what you're doing. I just do it with music and video. No, I didn't ask that. I just said, have you watched any of my Connecting the Dots? Or have you just come on to explain? You haven't done any of my meditations. You don't get what I do. You haven't done any of my meditation. That's the one, again, that's mine, what people say. Oh, I've done that. I know that. No, you don't. That's what creation is. It's completely different to anyone else. It's authentic. Not sure where 10 Days of Darkness comes from. The drops are darkness. No, it's darkness. It still says on the drop as well. I'll show you. So let's go into my share screen. So remember, every bit of creation is trying to leave us clues, because God's creation always gives us clues. Look at the animals, look at the plants. We also look at how structures are built, because they've used the land to build a structure. So the Tower of Babel, and you've got Babylon, which is myths and stuff as well. If you look at how cities are created, it always comes down. So if you read all the different stories, it talked about all the different people in this world. Yet we, in our imagination, view it as a little building like this. This is the world that we live in. It goes down. Where would people get their inspiration from? In the olden days, and I say the olden days, let's say right at the very top. And you heard about, I'm going to say the Old Testament was going up. So there was a flood coming, the water's rising, and there's less and less land. And you can imagine over generation, God's people are trying to get up to higher grounds. We've seen movies on that as well, trying to get up to higher grounds. If you now look at, and another reason why I feel like blacks have had it so hard, and they say like God's children and history's been changed, and even slavery, is because they are the fittest of the fittest. If you go up in terms of levels, the higher you go, the darker you get in terms of countries and land. History has been changed because if you search the Egyptians, which is one of the highest points in the land, and you've obviously got all those magical buildings up there as well, type in African noses, Egyptian statues. Actually, I can show you. So I can back it up. Egypt. Our history's been lied to, but you've got to think of it coming down. So on the way up, the strongest, the fittest. Do you know why they got to be the strongest and fittest at then? The sun. The only way you can only way that you can survive in those temperatures, if you let go to God. And then at the very top, you had the Noah's Ark. You had all the animals and stuff. Then the animals were up there. So when Jesus come down, and let's say the first civilization in Israel, in Bethlehem, and where the story starts for us, there was civilizations underneath too. So imagine it like that. So when the land first come, it just stretched as far as possible. And then you've got the indigenous, you've got Australia, you've got South America. And then you can imagine and the water, that thing. Let me show you the noses first. People, if you haven't watched my last one, you might think I'm sounding absolutely crazy at the moment. But for me, it makes all much more sense. Calf. So there's so many statues, right? And so again, so we're coming down. Think of it in levels. So let's say God's chosen people. We're told that they're the Jewish people or the Arabs. The darker would be the Africans, right at the top. And there we go. And there's evidence of these statues all over where the noses are taken off. Why are they taking the noses? Because you would tell that they're African noses. If you go back to the Dark Ages as it's going up, a lot of Russia were black. It went up and up. Survival of the fittest back then. So all the way up to the top. And then as it comes down, the people with the most land also have more knowledge looking up above. So the kingdom of Saudis, they would hide in the shadows. And then the blacks would do all the hard work through God. They were stronger, they could move more. And then they would go and take their creation, hence slaves. And it happened all the way down first to do all the hard work and lifting, the fighting. And that's where the things like gladiators and stuff come from, is that they had to get rid of some of the dangerous people because they would destroy whatever that's been left for them. So histories can be completely changed. There's some really good work with Dave Murphy, who's done loads of stuff on Black history. I loved a lot of the stuff that he has presented over the years. So it's helped me quite a lot with this. But definitely go back and start having a look at it. So come down the levels and stuff as well. To think even Jesus was a white person, you're ludicrous, really. You're ludicrous. But who wrote the stories in English? The writers, the storytellers, knowing that it had to apply to certain people. Jesus was a character. It was the way. And people, as we work down, were being shown the way, knowing that your creation gets taken down. But look, there's a confusion of tongues. There's loads and loads of stuff to look on spiral buildings. So I'm going to go through a tiny bit anyway. How now buildings are being designed like this. You think, wow, that's so clever. They go down like the world. Look, the water. Remember, the land is so big. The tree of life. But it's the water that spirals around. Who knew how to work the seas in the olden days? The Brits, the Portuguese, the French, and the Irish. So spirals, you see it in today's houses, you see it in the old buildings. So to give you a bit of a concept, I wanted to show this one first. Do you know what we? Do you know that we know? Do you know that we see all? Do you know that we hear all? Fear the storm. Nobody playing the game gets a free pass. Nobody. So that's the people that are still deciding to do all this. And the people that are not the ones that got the voice, and that they're like the silent thieves. They call it a silent war. They're the ones who've been doing the intel, getting the passwords. They share everything on about people, the post, the raw mat, like all that sort of stuff. No one gets a free pass if you're still playing. God's the only thing now. So you hear people say only Jesus can save you if you call yourself a sinner and doing that the whole time. And remember, for generations, this has happened. So that's all people know. These guys don't work in 4D. We can use this to our advantage. Look how it works. Look how the world has been formed, and we don't see it like that. That was the truth for them. They live by it, but they don't know God. So the other one was about being high. There was a nice one here. So look, this was a nice one, a quote. These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country, but he that stands by it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman. This is to you lot. Tyranny like hell is not easily conquered, yet we have this consolation with us that the harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. What we obtain too cheap, we esteem too lightly. It is dearness only that gives its value. Heaven knows how to put a proper price upon its goods, and it would be strange indeed if so celestial an article as freedom should not be highly rated. Thomas Paine, Q. So just know that everything, again, you're going to start seeing that we've been limited so much, even to the fact of aging. And I really think that we put that into the psyche of people. You get older each year, because we know how the body works, knowing that we need to speed things up to end this evil so we can go into a new world. And I've got even solutions of how that works, where people say you need evil. No, you don't. Yeah, you can have ego, not evil. And evil with more education, with a world that already starts off reset. Every time a soul comes back, there's less chance to be corrupted, because all you know is love. Most of us have been, or all of us have been born into a world where the outside world, we've had no clue. And then who we've been born up, like brought up by, and who we've been educated by. Like most people are going to be in the system, and a lot of people are uneducated on how. The higher up you go to the countries that we say are poverty and stuff, they're in the middle lands. They've literally just been left on their own, but they don't get supported by the system. All the funds that make the buildings and stuff as well. So you can start seeing why certain countries have just been forgotten about. The other thing going right up to the top as well, which is just an interesting thing to look at. So if you look at the big animals, I'll come on to that actually. I've got one on that. So just wanted to play this one first.
In America is gaining wealth, leading to enhanced faster than anyone thought.
Did want to play it.
With $6 trillion more in the stock market alone since the election. $6 trillion. With the strategy I am announcing today, declaring
what's going on?
America is in the game, and America.
26 people. Let me just try to get my screen video. There we go. So I'll show you this post first. Oh yeah, so this post here, look. So this to show you that the awakening had already kicked into gear. So, well, there you go. Great awakening, QAnon MAGA. At first, people, a lot of the criminal enterprise that got into this, they thought Trump was on their team, that Trump was breaking away from the deep state and he was going to be their leader. And that's why so many people lost their shit when Trump lost. He's a traitor, he's a sellout, he's a Zionist. And when I come back from Brazil, which I weren't paying attention to any of the vaccines, I weren't getting involved in any of that, and didn't get involved with any of the UK stuff, so I didn't know any truthers or anything. My first few months was every day trying to defend Donald Trump and educate people. No, he's the good one. But I didn't realize the people I was educating weren't on our side. And also they were very strange how I was supporting Donald Trump. So it's like I had to keep reassuring all the time, and they realized that I wasn't on their team. I was just a guy that loved truth and been on this journey for a long time. And I had people that come back into my life that have been away, and I know now that their role was to stop me talking about this stuff and distract me talking about other stuff. That was always the key. Even with my own community and stuff, it was to distract from what's going on and to do other stuff. Like it's tactical. I know you're watching. Love you too. So this one, look, Anon's crashed the site. High volume traffic, the Great Awakening.
America is gaining wealth, leading to enhanced power faster than anyone thought, with $6 trillion more in the stock market alone since the election. $6 trillion. With the strategy I am announcing today, we are declaring that America is in the game and America is going to win. This strategy recognizes that we cannot secure a nation if we do not secure our borders. So for the first time ever, American strategy now includes a serious plan to defend our homeland. It calls for the construction of a wall on our southern border, ending chain migration and the horrible visa and lottery programs, closing loopholes that undermine enforcement, and strongly supporting our Border Patrol agents, ICE officers, and Homeland Security personnel. For the first time, American strategy recognizes that economic security is national security. Economic vitality, growth, and prosperity at home is absolutely necessary for American power and influence abroad. Any nation that trades away its prosperity for security will end up losing both. It calls for trade based on the principles of fairness and reciprocity. It calls for firm action against unfair trade practices and intellectual property theft. And it calls for new steps to protect our national security.
Intellectual property theft is all the online stuff. So these silent thieves, again, I had a lot of people that were trying to clone my work, and they asked for your permission in a sly way of doing it, suggesting that they're going to help, but they're doing it to steal your work. And that can go somewhere else around the world. You'd never know about it. I've met even a digital marketing company in the last few years, and my gym's got absolutely screwed too. Marquette, just search the two words, what Mar is and what Ket means, and then you start seeing it's a whole business of all of it.
Industrial and innovation base. The strategy proposes a complete rebuilding of American infrastructure, our roads, bridges, airports, waterways, and communications infrastructure. With this strategy, we are calling for a great reawakening of America, a resurgence of confidence, and a rebirth of patriotism, prosperity, and pride. And we are returning to the wisdom of our founders. In America, the people govern, the people rule, and the people are sovereign. What we have built here in America is precious and unique.
Step into Wix.
So, powerful talk on that one. So again, everything that we're doing now, we're going to use the spirals. So the blade, follow the truth, like the Illuminati eye going down into the triangle, go downwards. Trump has been set up for this for a long time. This is a war in the making. You train him young and you make him a superstar at everything. Think about from energy. perception is everything. If people look up to you as the money man, if people look up to you as the businessman, if people look up to you as the property man, they're looking up. Even that word, when you say you look up to someone, stop it. When you say up, think down. Like, just not, I'm looking up over my castle, down to you. Like, play around. You're the one in control of your words and the meaning. Pay attention with it. Think of it from this as well. This will make more sense. So again, they've been showing us in plain sight. This one's even got a glass ball on it as well. So the sand timers, think of it from energy. So from energy, the kingdom at the top, Saudi Arabia, all the people at the top of the land, they're putting their onus down. And then as the world goes down, they've been more powerful because people have to look up to them just in terms of level of the land, the soul. If you look at Trump now, Trump was the very bottom because he's hated the most from all that energy. He's taken it all in. So he starts from the group up. So now he's won the people over at the base. Not only the base is America, you got Australia, you got UK, you got Canada, because that's at the bottom. It's the big parts. Then on top of that, you got Russia. Then you've got, and you're going to start seeing that this energy is coming up. That's the red wave. And I'm going to show you where red starts from the root chakra. You're going to see all the flags at the bottom have red in it. It's crazy when you start visiting it like this. And people, as we rise up, you rise up together. They're getting less and less oxygen now. We're squeezing it up like a thermometer, like a light bulb. You go up to the top and you send the star on, which we've done with Israel. Now you come down and learn. Like, Israel got recognized 1945. 11 minutes later, Harry Truman was the first international leader to recognize them as a Jewish state. So he was involved with this. Like I said, it's Harry Truman's plan. So from the start, they stuck Israel up there. So they're now at the highest point of the land looking down. That's why all the attacks have been on Israel from just a viewpoint. Saudis called themselves the kingdom, but they controlled it all still. They were power people, and that's why there was so much protection at the very top. Why didn't many people get to visit Saudi? Because they don't want anyone else getting what they have. Then you start seeing how corruption works and stuff as well. So take that in mind. That's a great photo. That's not done coincidentally. That's done deliberately. Let's see what else we've got. Is Tunnel T... Trump under pressure, so cool. Yeah, there's no pressure for him because, again, this is just acting out now. Is Donald T a good guy? Questions like that, Delilah. Why would you ask a question like that? And again, to ask a question like that, there must be something that you're doubting. So I'm going to ask you, rather than my answer, that what are you doubting on Donald Trump, to ask that question? I want people to start paying attention to these questions because you are the king. By asking that question, someone else gives you an answer. You're giving your power away. You don't need to ask that question. For me, it's like we ask questions to get involved with a conversation without thinking about it. And I stress that, people, because we've given our power away our whole life through our words. It's the only thing that we need to control because that's the truth. I had a professor tell me that marketing is the devil. It makes you want what you don't need and need what you don't want, especially when it's handed to everyone else. But they have your emails, they have your passwords, they have access to all your other contact, everything. So when they say GDPR and all this stuff, I used to moan, and God, they're all these different things, but it was protect us. And then we make it like it's their rules because they think they're putting the restrictions on us. The interesting one under Reagan, when it was renting videos out, and DARPA got involved at that point then, that these big politicians back then, the marketing companies could get access to all their rentals. So quite quickly they started seeing, why is this guy getting loads of kids' movies and porn? And they all got caught out. So they had to change the way that you could look at people's information and get their data because they were being exposed. So that's what I mean. God always wins. Every creation will open up more space for something else to come in. That's why information is the most powerful asset, because you can predict with information. DJT is a tip of the spear, indeed. And again, People will say Freemasons are bad, but yet Trump's always got his hands as the spear. No, that's not the same thing. It's exactly the same thing as everything else that we're being shown. No, it's not. Yeah, because you know that he is. That's why he used to get called a Zionist by all the flat earthers. They hated Trump. They got caught in that operation too. 2015, before Trump come in, put all the good information out, learn from the truthers, but get them to be anti-Zionist and anti-Jewish and Israel this and Israel that and anti-Trump. And then when it all happened, a lot of the truthers, again, they looked at all types of truth, didn't even bother getting involved with Q, no interest in it. Santos Bonacci didn't bother getting into it, not even looking at it. Why not? Because they have their lane. They have to stay in it. A few ventured out and they get exposed because they're now mixing with very uneducated people. The Brits ruined their plan, the Brit truthers, because they were stupid. They bought into the QAnon thing quite quickly. They were all doing undercover work in the dumbs, rescuing the kids. They were terrible at acting. The American truthers that I obviously have interacted with, a lot of them now, a lot more smarter than that. So they must have been going, have you got any good people? Like anyone? And then you get others that are now, yeah, it's like they were trying to fit in. They never advertise the healthy stuff. We'll come on to that. All the things that they never do, there's a reason. I'm going to come on to that. We all have free will. And our test, all of our tests, was to find God. Our test was to find ourselves. So look where we are now. We're all still searching, right? But look how much closer we are to knowing what is going on. Look how much in line now we are with the present moment in the outside world, with the information coming out. Then there's the next step to dive into it and then try and bring it back. But we're kind of up to date in that sense. The only thing then we're doing, look, we're looking outside, we're getting a good perspective of life, is inside. It's just the first step of inside is love. That's 4D. So you can look at it all, you can know it all, but it's only when you feel it and experience it. And to get that feeling and experience confirmed, and for people to know that you know, you have to speak your truth. You have to get out in a way, you have to stand on it. All through love, all through calmness. So again, up the castle, you go down first, now you come up a level. Most people can't get to that level because they get angry, it switches off. That's the bit that you have to work at. The beauty of it, though, it takes a while to work at it because life has so many things that you have to bring awareness to. But the more you start doing things, your body is so gifted. It says, I've got that now. I know you know it now. I'll remember that. Like driving. You do that, you don't even realize. You get from A to B and you kind of forgot how you got there. Your body takes over. It's that gifted. And this is where I know this 3D experience, the more you start connecting the dots, I like to look at spirals now. Something in my life has gone round. I need to find the bit that just connects it again. So I'm finding out things from my past now. Connect. The more you start becoming aware of it, life becomes quite a flow. So even the word, I'm going to go through loads of stuff. So even the word noon. So I was looking at so I've been paying attention to the times now and the time zones, trying to work out how it is. It's quite easy with the time zones. You can see how they've used a compass to work all this out as well. So all the world is in alignment. It's amazing plan for this in mind. Time, they've glorified the watch. Watch is like the masterpiece that you have to spend loads of it. And what do? You keep watching it. What is a watchman? What do they watch over? Usually the prison. So you're in your own little prison by the glorified watch that you paid for, which is really the watch that put you inside. Inside, you're just now in mind all the time, anything with time. But look at the word time, T-I-M-E, tie-me. You're tied now into the mind, the 3D. You can't get out of it if you're talking about time, talking about dates, talking about, oh, it's taking so long, nothing's happening. That's the mind. Instantly. Noon. So now think about your day, wherever you are, even if you can't see the sun, you follow the sun. No, the sun shows us the way. So as the sun rises, the highest point in the day is noon. So I worked this out, which I didn't realize. Know me. Know me. Know on. Noon. So Know yourself first. Now you're on, you can go downhill. So you do all the things first of all for you. For noon. Have I done that right? N-O-O-N, yeah. No on. Then when you're present, you're now. As soon as you're present, flip it round, you've won. If you're not present now, you're owned. Own. O-W-N. When you are present, you own your mind. It's all in the words. And NWO, New World Order, that they think so bad and stuff, it will be a new world order. But the world that we're going into is going to be a new world order through love. Love is the order. So it's all in the word now. And then you look at the word nowhere. You split in half. You start from nowhere. You're now here. And then as the human, you're now here. But when you've had the soul experience, I know here. It's all in the words. I know. Do you have any personal recommendations of documentaries, even your older videos that would tell us a lot of the history, perhaps more you've covered on Egypt? I haven't done Egypt or Tartaria. There was the Inside the Rabbit Hole, Ear War Anon. It's good to watch, but this stuff now will, it's good to watch to get your mind thinking. I think this can skip a part. What else did you say then? Personal recommendations. The Language of Creation, Dave Murphy, still one of my favorite recommendations, just to understand the concept of vibrations, language, the word Paleo Hebrew. So again, right at the top of the world, Paleo Hebrew was really based on symbols. And then the languages have evolved over time, but the English language has used all the other languages. English language, the reason why we're so powerful is our language. Because going up, the other languages have a past and a present. So you're stuck in time with the words that you use. The English language 5D, you can change the words and you've got multiple choices of words. So you can be more descriptive. You can describe your emotions so much more. You can connect with people a lot more when you try to get your feelings into words. Whereas if you go up, they can dance. They can show you how they feel. They just go beyond words. They're more body. And then you got more, there'll be more mind. It's different generations. The language, though, is the knowledge. Then you have to go up to get the experience. Right, here we got love equals straight line. Fear is a wavy line. Fear is a wavy line. Love is a straight line. I like that. I like that from a wave. Love for me is a wave as well. You ride the wave, so it's a bigger wave. If you flip it, Stevie, go from top to bottom. Love is a straight line on the pendulum that just sits there, and it's got a whole 360 view. It's got whole the experience and up above. So it's a 5D view, 4D view. Fear is the pendulum that swings. If you get angry, it's going to come back at some point. You have joy in your life. You chase that high, and at some point, you're going to get a downer. The duality. If you go straight back to meditation every day, let's say that you've had a really high day, it was amazing, and it took you beyond what you ever expected, that will come back in a pendulum. If you go into the meditation, you just catch it, I'm present again. It's know the duality, because the second dimension to life, which is where we should all start learning now, this is my teachings, also add on top of the Tao, yin and yang, simple. Mute. Okay, I'm back. I don't know what happened to my Zoom then. So, Jen, I don't understand the up and down stuff. So you just got to think everything we've been told. Can't minimize what you're in a meeting. Everything we've been told is the opposite. But there's a key one. It says left is left. I used to just thought if you're left on, again, double meaning, left as a Democrat, you're always going to be left. But left is left in terms of a spiral as well. Up and down is the way of the world, is spirals, spiral towers are like water. Perfect, Johnny. It takes time, Jen. I have to keep going up until it makes sense. 5 by 5. Yeah, that's going to come in handy. There you are. Thank you, Veronica. Right, so we go back on to where I was. So share screen. So you've got spiral stairs. It's all everywhere in creation. Donald Trump. So this one here, searched in the new world. We are going to show you a new world. Those who are blind will soon see the light. A beautiful, brave new world lies ahead. We take this journey together, one step at a time. Where we go, one we go. And I really want you just to read those words again and start processing it, because our imagination has been so limited, all done by design. It's been the biggest psyop on all of us, knowing that when it comes to this crunch time, God wins, but we all get to go into this new world together. I'm going to show you glimpses of the new world today, and it changes everything. For me, like, you fear death and you fear about leaving this world and you fear about missing out. Now, watch this. And all it is God. It's creation, but it's time. It's time, which is the magic. So, okay, let's get the map up again, first of all. So let me get my Canva one up. So what I showed the other day, it was like spirals. And then I also then showed you, so this one, first of all, again, you have to go beyond countries, because if you look at just countries, it doesn't make sense. That's why America is so amazing. America has, and I've realized I've been there now. When I went to America, I was in the belly of the beast, Arizona, most corrupt state. It's the highest land. So why is it so corrupt? They get to the highest point because of the heat. You're up close, and when you go high king, which I did every day in Arizona, I just didn't set the final intention. I'm above everyone in Arizona now, even though my meditation, again, illumination, the eye above the pyramid, that's you. So meditation, you start up there. That's why I encourage people to go into flow first thing. Before anyone else is fed their words, you start, I'm up here. That takes you 2 minutes to do. So it starts in Israel, and I feel like it kind of spirals down like this. And then as they've been able to travel the seas and build on their technology, enhance their ships, learn more about the oceans, they then uncover some other land, which was originally high, like the indigenous. But they say New Zealand was one of the last countries to be found, but Australia was found a long time ago, and they're one of the first ones here. The people were there for a long time, but they hadn't been discovered for a long time. So they've lied about some of the dates and stuff given to us. And a lot of lies have come always from the evil people, because they think that that's going to benefit them. So let me just show you kind of, again, things like that don't make any sense. But Iceland, we're told, is the North Pole, or near the North Pole, but that's at the bottom of the spine. So it's kind of like Israel, and right at the bottom, and every chakra, there's a certain part to it. So I then looked at it, spinning it upside down, because this would then help more people make sense of, look at the world kind of like this, and it spirals down, and down here is just going to keep going down and down. But it makes more sense when you look at the flags. So if you look at the big land of Russia, like, how is that not the biggest country in the world when you look at it like this? Then you got Greenland, which is taken over, or America set up base there after World War, or during the World War, 1942, they set up base there, massive base. If you look at America, they've also got Alaska. So if you spiral, Alaska's then even lower than Canada, but they've got on the end of it cleverly which in that process, you've also got the land of Hawaii, which is above, and it has Mauna Kea, which got me into all this, which is, they said, the highest mountain from floor to the top, 33,000 feet. So makes me believe, and the word feet as well. That's why it now makes sense when they're doing these measurements. Where they get these names from? It's because they're measuring up to start with. So feet is all the steps going up, 33,000 feet. I'm suggesting now each foot is a different part of the spiral. And again, you've got the Earth calculator, curve calculator. The curves now from the spirals, which again makes so much sense. So you turn it round. Look how the flags start fitting now. And what I've suggested as well, a lot of the red flag, the red on the flag is the base of the world, but the white on the flag means the higher up on there. So I'm suggesting that there's parts of land on each country that is as high up as some of the others. And you've got the stars, the leaf, and the circle, the bottom flags. If you look into spirals, look into the English-speaking countries, they're all like the last lands. And I feel like Australia was the land that was just in the middle of nowhere. They used to just keep dumping all the criminals in the lowest lands. It's because, no, we're settled here now. We're going to keep dumping them on. And it used to be the Brits used to dump them to America. And then just after the Constitution, then America used to then send us, all the Brits U-turned it and went to Australia. But they realized they can't just keep doing that. It doesn't make sense. So when Harry Truman come in, I feel at that point there, their plan was, right, we're going to contain the world. So the sun's going to keep going down and more land's going to be revealed underneath. But we can't keep just going down and having the same thing. So we're going to tell people, and we'll have the first war, World War I, which obviously is a distraction for people back then without the technology. I'm going to show you today how the technology was restricted from us because they used to get their hands on the scientists, they used to get their hands on the family members. So over time, they've also been working on capturing all the most talented minds for a reason now. I've also got a theory that all these underground tunnels that we're told about, and they used to take all the kids trafficking, I've got a suspicion that once they got to the tunnels, they're in God's hands and there is another world below. So I feel at some point there was a transition because you never see really mums on Facebook or any social media screaming out for their missing kids at all. It's like, where are they? And I've got suspicion the reason why they called it dumbs, and these people saying dumbs, 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 it was fed to them for a reason, to think, if we're in full control of this, do you think we're really going to let all this happen? Am I saying bad stuff happen? No. Am I saying it does happen still? Yes, but less and less. Am I saying it's all being tracked and monitored, everything in this world? Yeah, NSA. So we come back onto here. So think then, they found Antarctica. They did an expedition before Harry Truman come in. And then in 1945, 17 years later, after the World War, he sent everyone to Antarctica. And if you watch my breakdown, that was one that I do recommend for the person that did ask. My Harry Truman one that does going around the world, and then also the Antarctic, where they did the expedition, because I show you what the military had then. So I feel the whole process then was they've been creating the new world underneath. That was 1945, by the way. Think about the amount of years that have gone by since. And they continue to sort the new world. But I'm going to show you one beyond that today, where a lot of our world's been destroyed and they're trying to raise our history and they're trying to do this and they're taking all this stuff away from us and all the technology they're holding back from us. We keep saying they, but the people sharing the information, they've been saying that. We're just repeating that. They have been holding it back. They have been stopping cannabis, a big one. They stopped cannabis, and we think because the politicians are going to make money. But they've also stopped it because that is God's plan. And if we're going to win this war, people have a free will to find God, and they don't need the land and cheating to get there if they're doing other cheating on everyone else's God's people. So they've made it harder for people to get access to it. And they've made it harder to get access to all these different things on purpose. Because if you want the truth, you have to go and get it yourself. That's a big one. A lot of us are here because we want the truth. A lot of us are still waiting for things to happen. Someone said the other day, oh, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. What happens if I'm right? What changes? I hope you're right means I don't know what's going on. I hope you're right. Start looking, all this stuff. This is for us to go and it's our life. Otherwise, you're just going to keep watching a movie your whole life. Hopefully, this will spark some people into going, oh my God, like everything about this changes. That saying, where you go one, we go all, was a Q recommended movie. Yeah, White School. There you go. Again, the movie didn't really make sense before. And then you start seeing this. Oh, Operation Ice Worm. Yeah, all these names. Always done by us, people. Mount Zion is the North Pole. Yeah. And what is the North Pole in Iceland? They say the difference between the North and the South. It's not North Pole, South Pole. It's just that was the highest point. If we went down the spine, depends what a viewpoint. If you're looking from Saudi looking down, that's the South Pole. But if you're from the South Pole looking up, you can call it the North Pole. You're at the top of the world now. Sorry, the other way around. You're at the top of the world. Again, yin and yang, perception. Down is just a word. Doesn't mean anything. But what you do see, though, that in the 1600s, they started taking the islands off the maps. That is because they don't want these criminals to know where they are. These criminals don't know anything about our true existence and the land that we live on. It's been hidden for a reason. Because anytime people get their hand on God's creation, it's like a Black Friday going in the shops and you see some of the videos where it's just go and grab anything they can. That's what it would have been like, right? And there must be a cycle when they know it all. When 6 is 9, yeah. I had a nurse tell me hope is a waste of time. Yeah, hope's a horrible word. It's a no. And again, you wouldn't need a hope if you knew God, which is yourself. That's it. What they hiding in the birth pole, Greenland, the North Pole. They're not hiding. At the time they were just building, it's now getting lower and lower. It's all the new land waiting for us. So watch this. So then I started thinking about, because at the end of last year, you had the World Cup final in Qatar. I couldn't work out why after, because I thought all the big things were going to happen then, because it's the most televised event, all the different things. And I backed up everything that I shared my reasons why. And it also, I know it enticed a few people in and exposed them a bit later on down the line because God wins. What also behind the scenes is all of these stage events that go on and all these big things that they want our attention on as distraction. If you type in the biggest military base in the Middle East, it's in Qatar. Because we're gearing up for a war, a worldwide takedown, when these big events take place, there's always a distraction. If we change the perspective, we're always told that it's the biggest human trafficking operations and it's the biggest part for crime, which in those words are true too. But we know both sides. So everything's a distraction. World War II, distraction, the bankers, Europe, Nazis. But the other distraction is we're setting up base and going below. So what's the biggest event in the world? Olympics. If we're going lower and lower and new lands is coming below, in the Antarctic Treaty that I showed you, there's over 56 countries, and that never made sense before, that all own land. And like, how does that make sense? I might as well just get it up for you. So share screen. So this will make sense. So this is 1959. And then what I showed on my other video in 1959, the same time, Alaska and Hawaii were declared the 49th and 50th state of America. In 1959, the same year as the Antarctic Treaty. So watch this, Arctic Treaty. And on the flat Earth, it's like, oh, they've all signed it, so we can't go there, and the military control it. As soon as the military good, it's like, of course they're stopping it. Why are they stopping people going there? And then you get people, well, if it was flat, why don't we just go to the edge? What's stopping people going to the edge? The fact is, no criminals know how to get there, and it's all guarded for it. But all this treaty compiles of a lot of countries. I didn't understand why are all the countries agreeing with that and only some of them. So I realized if you think of the mountain still, as the world spirals down, more land reveals itself for more of these countries. So this is how you get into the countries to do the works. When we say, because I went to the Olympics and World Cup. 2014 was the World Cup in Rio. And 2 years later, the Olympic Games was in Rio. And I'm like, well, that's funny that they had both back to back. After the World Cup, I'm like, I'm definitely coming back for the Olympics. Mums and dads out there, your kids have to go and experience a World Cup or Olympics. I come back, Brazil was magic anyway, but I come back going, well, have you never taken me to anything like that? It was just the energy. When I was there, my mates come over. Colombia, I went to a number of games. They come over. Argentina, they made it to the final, and it was just like the whole South America come over. It was a party. It was a national holiday every time Brazil played. Magic, like the whole thing was magical. And 2 years later, you had the Olympics. But one of the things that they said, it's so corrupt. It's so corrupt because of the amount of stadiums that were built, and it was just a waste. However, people think bigger. So that's all the money maker. That's all the distraction. That's where the focus is on the sport. But also, we need to get into the countries to go and do more work to stop people finding out this new land. If it's going to keep coming down, you can't tell people. So if you notice the World Olympics, and then you've got the Winter Olympics, and then you've got the World Cup, and then you've got the Euros, they're all in 4 years. They're all in 4 years. So each year covers a new bit of, I'm guessing the sun gets lower every year. So they have an event there. So all the builders, obviously, the planning beforehand and stuff, they do all the work. So I looked at all the old ones. It's all the same countries. But Beijing, during Beijing, was it the Winter Olympics? Oh, yeah, there it is. I was going to say it was in China in 2022 as well. So Beijing, yeah, I'm right. I didn't know it was the Winter Olympics, though. It was during COVID because I was in Brazil. Oh, no. I'll check the one because it was Japan, wasn't it? Of course. The summer one got delayed because of COVID. It was in 2021 because I was in Brazil watching it. And it was interesting watching the Olympics with a Brazilian narrative, even though I love watching it with the Brits because they're so good at these sports. But look at the countries. Look, and again, the timelines. So Beijing, Tokyo, around the same. And then you had the Winter Olympics, Pyeongchang, Rio, Sochi, London, Vancouver, Beijing, Turin, Athens. All of these Olympics were around the same time. If you look at the spirals, it all ties in. So I know for a fact that they would have been doing work there. So I looked at also then, when's the next World Cup on? USA, Mexico, and Canada. You're thinking, why has he got the other nations on? There's a whole new land underneath. It's all going to be ready for us. Qatar was the last one. Distraction, take it right up to the top again from energy. You got the whole world watching right at the top. In Qatar, you got the whole world. You start from there. You let it all come down. Now we cut it back up. It's spirals. They're working on it. Look, Russia, Brazil, South Africa, Germany, Japan, France, USA, Italy, Mexico. They're all of them, all these countries are in the Antarctic Treaty. So then I see the time zones. So now I've worked out the highest point in the land on each continent, the highest point on the land. It doesn't mean it's all in a line, is in the same time zone. It's like, so it'd be the highest point, let's say Israel, Egypt, same time zone, the same underneath. As the sun goes round, it'd be like 8 hours or 12 hours underneath. They've managed to work out each one. So in Arizona, Arizona was quite interesting because I'm from the UK. It's one time zone. Never had it's just you change the time. But when you're obviously living in Arizona, you've got 5 other time zones as well. So it's trying to work out what time zone am I in? And that was quite confusing. But Arizona didn't change. It was the only state that didn't change. It's worked out it's the highest point still. So all the ones around change because it aligns again with the way that the sun comes round. So you can imagine as the sun comes round, there's different layers. So they've worked out all these maps, all in relation with time. You could then start spiraling. I was trying to find it on a flat Earth one. Look, and the reason is that they can't tell you the full truth. They went to flat Earth because they want you in 3D still. The moment you start seeing a 4D aspect, you can start seeing where all their power just disappears. They're talking down to you every time. It's energy. So we just don't know. When you close your eyes, there is no such thing as up or down, left or right. I base it on my heart center, but I can go in any direction I want. So if I set my duality, that's my highest point in my head, right? And now NASA makes sense. You make it evil, you make it look like the serpent or the snake, and you get all this money raised. That money's being taken. They take some of it, but as the bigger plan, because the bankers had to set up these systems initially. The cash flow would have said, we're going to seize them in 25 years. We're going to take all assets seized on that one. We're going to grab their assets on there. So big one with space was JF Kennedy said, we're going to go to the moon. And for the next three presidents that come in, the criminals, they all pretended that they were going to the moon with these fake space programs. After you catch them all, that's all assets seized. That money goes down. All their money for all their darkness, we still get access to it on the lower land. I'm going to show you more in a minute. So that was just, again, just a look at that is in terms of colors. And also the lands below Israel are all got the moon and the star. The moon is the mind chasing the star all the time. Look, it's trying to encapsulate the truth because the sun always does its full route and the moon always chases after the mind. Creation, then mental. And it was funny because I had a coaching call the other day, and you get the odd person. One call, people change, and she mentioned that she just doesn't know what is happening in life. Just tried everything. I've done self-development. I've been places. I've done this, and I've tried everything. And then it went on, and I didn't say anything. Like I always do, I listen. And then we started talking about the moon and simplify it. And then she goes like this. And I was smiling. It was, first of all, it was all mind. So she's telling me all the things. Then she's telling me about all her parts. Can you see me? Not logged. Oh, what is going on, man? All right, people. I don't know what is going on with this. Let me just log in. Okay, so you can hear me. I'm back. Yeah, this is going to be. There's going to be a lot of people not wanting to see it, but again, I get my little signs 444. So back with sound. Let's go. I'm going to get through this even more so. All right, 439. Nice. Welcome, people. Share screen. Do this again. Nothing can stop what's coming. Let's go with that. So World Cup venues, Olympic venues, they've been going there to do a lot more than just the Olympics. Play around with time zones. You can see that how this model makes more sense, how they create structures. So then I looked at where I live. So what's been interesting, this is again where I encourage people, everything that I'm presenting, see if you can connect it somewhere in your life. It's like everything, there's an answer for it. Everything, everyone, every lesson, there's something for you. That's God. The more you can just get your tick box, even finding the duality, what's the opposite of it? And then where do you stand in between? Or where do you stand? So what was quite interesting is my relationships with friends over the years, and when certain people come into different groups, but the schools, and to go like back to the crown, etc. We're born into this world in a system that they say that your birth certificate gets sent off to the Vatican. And we've had a number of people in the truth movement tell you this sort of stuff, and they weigh you in gold and stuff as well. And you're traded on the stock market, and you have all your treasury bonds and stuff like that, which I know is true. If you then look at the olden days, these systems would have been set up in place by these people. But try to work it out from London, and the reason why all these buildings were so high to start with, that was mostly the only land. And the first people that come are explorers, and they know how to do it. So they build all these, but they don't realize that there's going to be a lot more land underneath. Think about London as the highest point. So you got the Tower of London. And then as you go down, think about the films where you have the castle, and then you've got the moat around it, and then you've got the walls, and then you've got the hills, and that's England. Look at England as one massive mountain. Think of it like that. And then it goes all the way down. And then you can start wondering, realizing why the Scots, the Irish, and the Welsh hated England. They obviously lower down. England were the kingdom of the whole world. And then you can start making sense. How did Ireland all make their way over to America? Because that was the next land to be revealed. And all in that process, England would have had that's why they called it United Kingdom. That's where the royals come in. So think castle at the top and spiraling it all the way down. And what was quite interesting, where I was born was called Hillingdon. Hill, Don. I was thinking, the schools that I'm going back with and the different people, there was a few people that hated me. Like, but you have to give them a reason to hate you. I had this one guy, like, there was no reason for it, just wanted to beat me up all the time. I was one of the youngest in my school, so it meant I was 18 the last. So a lot of my mates started going out drinking and getting in all the pubs with their friend's ID or their brother's ID and stuff. In fact, they always went out and got in fights. And the kids that always fighting all went to the same schools. It was the better schools in terms of your mum and dad had to go to church. Now I'm thinking church, indoctrination. But from the names of areas as well. So you had Hillingdon. Then you had the schools. It was like Bishop's Holt, Dalway Martyrs, Abbotsfield. My school was called Mellow Lane. It's almost like, right, we got them in a lane, and now we're going to corrupt them. And it was always their school versus our school. And I would be out sometimes, and there'd be kids from one of the schools that I mentioned. They'd just punch some of my friends in the face. And it was great. But after 18, then they stopped fighting. So I was thinking, even from a spiritual world, the kids don't know what they're doing. The parents mostly don't know what they're doing, but it's fed to them somewhere. And in the schools, they mostly then use that as a selection. There's the trouble kids. Let's give them some incentive. Oh, you don't like, okay, what are you going to do? Anything before 16, you don't get arrested. So you corrupt other people. You got football, you get them into drinking, clubs and friends and stuff like that. And I started looking back at my life with different people come in, and you leave certain groups behind, and then you have no contact with any of them. And it was almost like it was all the way up to London, and all these towns being set up, and the names of it was like Rye Slip. You go there, you will slip. All different things. West Drayton. And then it was Hayes and Harlington. Southall. Ealing. Shepherd's Bush. It was mostly different phases of the castle going back in the olden days all the way up. and how they had all the county and the lands and everything like this. So I started trying to look at old photos of how things are done. So just to give you a bit of a hindsight. So then there was a thing called star cities, and you look at some of these things and you're like, how have they done that? Like, it must be ancient technology and stuff. It's crazy. So I want you to pay attention to these, because there's many places in the world now you can go to. So they're called star cities. You think, how have they done all that? They didn't have planes back then. They didn't have the technology. They didn't have drones. Well, they do it from above, and they're mostly mirroring the sky and stuff as well. You do one layer at a time, and then you work your way down, and you're just copying the truth. So guys, when you do your stuff going forward, think from bird's eye view down first. Again, when I was stretching my body, I got my head, I got my shoulders, I got my wrists. They're my joints. Then I got my clavicle, which is the main one. Then I got my hips, I got my knees, my ankles. It's like a mountain. And I can feel all the wires spiral at each joint. So don't look at one little thing. It's like, work on the stars of your body first of all, the points, the hooks, they're rails. It's a mountain. It's like skiing. All of a sudden, you make sense of your own body then. You start stretching it, go, oh. So they've had these star cities. And we say it's aliens and stuff like that. No, that's God. We knew how to do that. All the clever people knew how to do it, but we don't really see them anymore. This is the old world. Someone mentioned Tartaria and stuff as well. You're like, wow, this is magic. How have we just forgotten all this? What technology do they have? I'm telling you why. When Harry Truman come in, we stopped doing all this. Because what happens is they copy, they steal, they take, they change history, they lie. There was a reason for it as well. So it's almost like, right, if you're going to steal from us the whole time, well, we're going to have something in mind where we're going to take it all back from you. We're going to learn from you in the process. We're going to have an amazing story to tell, and we're going to get rid of evil at every level. We've seen how it works through the generations, through the cultures, through history. We've got all the information now, so we're going to learn how to do it for ourselves. So think long plan. If you know it happens and you know what they're going to do, you just monitor it all, hide in the shadows, and then you have a bigger plan. So this is where it gets really exciting. Just a quick one through evolution as well. And animals were here, I feel, before us. Animals have a teaching for us. So we go to the very top again, and you know they're still finding animals and stuff. If you go to the very top, and imagine at the very top, at the start, it was just love. To have love, the big wild animals, the ones that are in Africa, the like in the middle of nowhere where it's so hot and stuff, I feel that these animals were just thrown out. Because by the time corruption comes, you can't mix with these animals if there's no love. So they become dangerous. You only can, and this is where I think love is going to be the real excitement in a new world. Imagine just rocking down the road with your pet lion, just like a little softie, because it's love. It respects you. A copy cat, it copies you completely from energy. Cats are psychic, they're energy. We just can't handle the big ones because we didn't get shown it. But back in the day, they would have been. So you can think of these animals, when they're in the wild, who's the king of the jungle? The lion. How? Because it fears no one, and it will fight to the very death. So they watch how, if you do it all from mind, in survival mode, which is fear, that's the way to win. You fight, you hunt, you kill down, right? That's the very top. But there's a way to skip all that if we were educated, experienced, and have love from the start. So another thing that they've realized is because the whole world was tarnished, it was corrupted, you can't really change the wildlife in there. It'd be generations to even get close to these ones. And they're working on it, and you're seeing more and more. However, there's a reason. We learn from these ones, and we say the zoo's so bad. It's not. It's preparing for what's to come. You're going to have animals that have been only grown up with love. Animals that have to fight and scavenge to just feed. It's the same with what we're seeing in the system that we're born in. In certain countries, there's so poverty that crime easy to take place because money solves all problems for them. They get caught in a bad system. So look at it from the chain up. Soon we're going to have the technology to be able to produce any foods for all these people through the replicators, which again, all real. So I looked at the buildings now. Buildings are quite soulless. They go up really quickly. They're just straight up. But you can see where the Freemasons come in. So the one of the building had a membership there, had a few clients there as well, was called the Gherkin. If you look at the Gherkin, what does it look like? Is that a cleverly designed building? That's in the city of London. That was where my second gym was. I was on that road. Gherkin, what was number 30, St. Mary Axe. So they stuck a pineal gland, a massive one, in the middle of the city of London, in the heart of the corruption. They put that up about 20 years ago. That was the tallest building in London. So you can see they get above the rest of the world, or rest of England, just from the building. So when people are unconscious, if you bring awareness to, I am physically higher than the whole of London, I'm more powerful, you take that in every day. And then you see other buildings that come up, and some of them are terrible, but look, then you've got the Scalpel. And then the tallest building, which was where my other gym was when I first set up. So it opened 2012, but the building work started 2008, because it is at ground zero when I set up my first gym in Tower Bridge. The Shard. What is the Shard? Freemasons. These buildings are designed for a reason. That's the tallest building in Europe. And I realized a lot of things started shifting when I started having dinner up in these buildings all the time. Like I'm still higher than other people physically. In my meditations now, NASA, where they aim you to go all the way up to space, I just go straight up there, I shine my star on the whole world. Right, I'm cool. I'm higher than everyone in terms of energy. I'm now in my castle. I'm looking down into my creation. That's how I start each day. Energy. So designs, you can see the other buildings are just straight up. They literally got no life about them or anything. There was one called the Walkie Talkie, which was where are we? The design had curves in it here, and they had to change it because they didn't take into consideration the sun. And there was a Jaguar that was parked outside, and it completely melted because the sun just like bounced off of. So they couldn't even recreate some of the things that we do. All the building companies in London, some of them were our clients as well, were geezers, like proper druggy, rough as, but they all work with each other. Like we saw in Fear City, how they did it in New York, mafia owned, control the buildings, get higher. Why do you think Dubai always builds those high buildings? Because knowing if you go at the top of that very tall one, you're the tallest person in the world. So they try to build these places to get closer to God, get above the rest. However, every time you meditate, every day is a new day. You just got to find God each day. All of us are with God each day. We just got to get the connection. That connection is passion. I didn't finish that story before I got cut off with that woman. So just to say passion, that woman said all these things, mind, mind, mind. And then she started talking about her cooking. This woman come alive, like got excited, and again I just let her talk, and I just stopped. I went, that's God. And we're talking about how she didn't like the word God, and same for me. God was the one that was like, oh, I don't like how other people talk. That's God inside you now. I said, look at you. And I said, you're smiling, and the smiling was so good. And then after, so look, goes down first, all mind, 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 comes up, then heart. Someone notices it, and then all of a sudden she goes, it just feels like my whole life I've done, and she went like this, I've done all these things, and she stopped. And there was a little silence, which I loved, and it was an epiphany. She went, it always comes back to you. It always comes back to you. And I was smiling because what did she show? The sun goes round first. That's the truth. The moon tries all these different things. And by the end, you realize, shit, it'll come back to wholeness again. Straight away, different change in energy. There was an excitement there, but there was an inner knowing. She come to that herself. And why did that happen? Because she started with love, with passion, And that ignited that light bulb moment. Aha, look, spirals up the body. Ding. That's where the words come from. So people, this is where it gets exciting. Okay, the world's below. I'm going to go and say that, we're talking about bricks and everyone's focusing on the gold backed and bricks. If you're in your mind, you're focused on money. That's it. Like, money is mind. So if you're focused on that, you're also focusing on the wrong people. The opposite of that is creation. It's freedom. So bricks. What's the words? Bricks. What's the countries that I showed you all the Olympics on and the World Cups? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. The World Cup finals. Let me get the World Cup one up quickly. Look, the World Cup, Russia, Brazil, South Africa, 2018, 2014, 2010. So bricks, it won't go higher than that because there's not going to be no new land coming underneath the Arab countries. They're too high. None of the Antarctic Treaty cover them ones. Japan, South Korea was a joint World Cup. France, USA, even back then, 94. They've been preparing this for a long time. So, and we keep saying it's corrupt, FIFA are corrupt. So when Qatar got it, all these deep state players mostly thought, shit, we are in control still. There's no way they would have got that. Everyone went straight to cheating. How can Qatar get the World Cup? They don't even have a football team, national one, that could make it up there, international one. You can start seeing why. So one hand, they think they're winning. They're distracted and going to be making money. That's going to be the military setup. But all the other ones, we're able to go there, the builders. You put it all into the budget. So we go back now on that documentary, Inside the Rabbit Hole, Ear War Anon. The key thing that he showed you was there was all these buildings and all these cities that just existed. It was empty. It's like, how? How had they existed from it? What I've seen now is inspiration comes down at every level. This is where the new world's going to be. So all these buildings that have been destroyed, watch this. Wake up. I'll post a link on this after. I'm going to play just a tiny bit on this. This, people, yeah, I'll let you play it first. Let me come to the chat quickly. Scotland landmass is higher than England. That's why I know how. But you say higher though. You're looking at it wrong. Lower. It's lower down. That's why it's colder. We got to look at it from the other way. We say it's higher because they're rockers, but the water's lower. All these colder lands go down and down and down. So then they first found like Chicago area. That was like the edge over in Boston and stuff. But then when they find in there, all the way up at the top would have been Arizona, California, Death Valley. So to find the land first of all, and then they find it goes up higher. And that's where you find all the settlers start taking in. Even H, Neil Glenn, exactly, Harry. Good view of the Gherkin from 120 for Earth. Shard, it's not that Alan Sugan's building. Shard was built by a pawn king. It was, I was told it was built by a Saudi royal. My daughter works there. Melted tarmac, yeah. Bricks is the last of the cabal. It's not Tony. There is no cabal. There is no last of anything. We're full control. When people say, oh, it's this or they're doing that, they're not. How? We're in a full military operation, full control. Brazilian got sold out. By who? People are just saying these things. Come back to me on that one, Delilah. Who did they get sold out by? Please come back. Their final attempt which failed. It's not their final attempt under Trump. There's no attempt. It's the people on here and all the ones, the belly of the beast that broke away from the elites. The politics stuff that we're seeing is a show. It's a movie to distract these people. This is the big bulk of it. Thank you for explaining. So is lower land good or bad? Confused here. It's new land. But look at it in the body. Once you get past a certain point, which I think on the spine, Iceland, then the big wall, that's the pelvis. The big ice wall. Under there, you're told about the middle of the earth. You're told about Mount Meru, Garden of Eden, the 4 islands. You see all this certain stuff. for me, then it's like a whole collection, and then you're just going to have every sort of, every culture, every world, but I'm going to show you every part of history is being staved. And we're going to be able to go through times. Watch, to show you, like, think bigger.
What do we really know about our past? Are we suffering from a collective memory loss?
So also remember on this, people, for the audience, because everyone's going to wake up in their own way. Watch this now, first of all, from levels, knowing what we've just gone through here. Listen to the way that the narrator, sorry, explains it all. And he'll say they or we or the occult. If we've got attached to, oh, they're bad, the occult, we just view it from that point. Try and view it from everything he says is good. All of this is good. And what he's doing is putting the words out there. So if I'm interested in this stuff, it's going to leave you open to thinking, yeah, hang on a minute, you got questions and stuff, allowing more people to go into it. So they might not be looking at all the other stuff, what we are, but they're really keen on this. What we've got the keys to connect all these other things. So again, why I keep asking people, attach it to your life. There's certain artists, there's certain musicians, there's certain things that you've seen and experienced. You're going to go, oh my God, they're part of it. They're all part of it. These secret societies, they had to keep this a secret. So watch, let's see what comes up for you.
Was there a technically advanced, unified civilization on Earth less than 500 years ago? 500 years ago. What role did the world's fairs play in introducing forgotten technology?
How long do you generally sleep each night, Mr. Footy? 8 hours? 441,504,000 seconds of time you just throw away.
Did someone secretly destroy remnants of old world structures under the pretense of a temporary exposition?
Okay, one more intention. All this creation, all these world fairs were put up, quickly shown, dismantled, all God's creation, and they've been taken downstairs in the new world, ready for us to have. But what do we go into? A world which is just love, creation, no corruption, and all of us reset. At every level, we all get a new opportunity, and we can start off wherever we want, because it's all going to be from every culture, every tradition, and everything. Now with our technology, we can record all the things that we think we've lost. I encourage mums and dads as well. You know, when you throw away certain old things from school, your old photo, keep all that. That physical is going to be a touch. Everything that's ever been on the internet, you'll be able to rummage around and find about you. That would be easy. Physical stuff, keep it, because it's energy to start with. Because I feel that there's going to be a lot more waiting for us, on us, all of us. This is a new kingdom waiting. And think, if this doesn't sound realistic, they've had since 1945, Harry Truman going to Antarctica, then the treaty 1959, that they've been working on this. Try to think like that. And then also, look how quickly they built these buildings even back then. Watch this, people.
Nothing is as it seems. It's time for us to remember again and lift the veil of deception.
So just a few designs that I've been working on, something iconic, something timeless, and yeah, I'd love to know what you think.
Very impressive, mate, but we really only need a new work uniform?
You need Indeed.
Upload your CV on Indeed and get seen by employers who are looking for your unique set of skills.
So recruiting is a way that they get God's children. They keep them just stuck.
It makes a trip unforgettable. You'll know it when you feel it. Make memories with Get Your Guide. Unforgettable travel experiences.
Accidental element.
He's noticed as well, fallen from a high. Evolution. Just quickly on people when they say comments like, the stolen history could be about the elites causing mud floods to bury up. That's what you keep getting. The elites have never been in control to think this far ahead. They would have been given an idea that we're going to destroy this building and how you can win. They weren't in control of this. They get all other people to do it all. They're just told. Remember, they never have the full truth. This is why people can't get to God, because they're having to rely on someone else. So when people in this corrupt system, they have to report to someone, they have to talk to someone, they know someone's watching them, knows everything about them, their mind all the time. To be truly free, you have to let go of all that sort of stuff. All that sort of stuff. So those questions, when we say, are the elites, you get out of the habit of they're in control. They've never been. They think they have. We have. And then someone said, why the Flynns turn on Trump? Did he turn on Trump? If you read the words exactly, did he turn on Trump? Like, again, we're trying to take what people are saying. There's nothing he says bad about Trump. Read the words properly.
To assert, as one must traditionally assert, that in the beginning there existed not an animal-like caveman, but a more than man, and that even ancient prehistory knows not only culture, but even an era of gods, means purest mythology to many who believe in the gospel of Darwinism.
In the previous part, The Destruction of the Old World, we explained how social conditions changed abruptly as a result of a cataclysmic event, be it a natural disaster or a war or both, loosely between the early 18th and the late 19th century. This event is also known as the Reset. The Industrial Revolution was one of the most obvious consequences of this reset. After the disappearance of the old world, a power vacuum arose that was exploited by a small power elite to disempower the old kingdoms. They divided the world among themselves through imperialism and the establishment of modern nation-states. In the course of industrialization, the invisible ruling powers were faced with the challenge of convincing the masses of their secret plans. The world exhibitions were created as a way to reach this goal. In all likelihood, these exhibitions were created to introduce certain technologies into society, or rather, to reintroduce them.
Canada, a land of open spaces, open hearts, and open minds. Bring that openness home with you. Plan your trip to Canada today.
The first major world.
So just on this as well, again, think layers. So the elites were mostly given this idea, and then they do benefit. They do get their money, like World War II. We're going to fund both sides. And that's what we've been told. But zoom out, knowing that someone had to tell them an idea, that they went along with it. It seems like a great idea. However, someone's designed that idea with something else in mind. So these things was created and taken down. They thought, haha, we're going to get the newest technology from them. That's their one. Whereas the people taken down is, we're going to keep this because this is a moment of time, and we're going to use this and repurpose it downstairs.
World's Fair was held in London in 1851, consistent with the role of the British Crown as a major political player at the time. 1851 must therefore be regarded as a symbolic year for the peak of the Industrial Revolution. Supposedly, a third of the entire population of Britain, 6 million people, visited the great exhibition of the works of industry of all nations. However, the transfer of knowledge and technology targeted by these exhibitions may have begun as early as the 1840s. The French Industrial Exhibition, held in Paris in 1844, was considered a precursor to the Great London World's Fair of 1851. In Germany, World's Fairs were usually called trade and industry exhibitions, although Germany played a rather minor role compared to the others. It should be noted that this also applies to Germany's role as a colonial power. European policy has always been clearly directed against Germany and the German population. The reasons for this remain speculative. Western Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and America, controlled by the British Crown, should be considered the most important players of the industrial age. These countries, already mostly controlled by the cabal at the time, hosted virtually all of the world's fairs. The term cabal describes the hierarchical, monolithic organization operating out of secrecy, which has its roots in the ancient mystery cults. This cabal was able to spread across the earth like a spider's web, especially after the last reset. Shortly before his death, John F. Kennedy likely referred to this very cabal when he said,
"For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed."
Who exactly was Kennedy referring to here? Is it merely the danger of communism, as is often claimed? Or could he have been referring to the group that UFO researcher Richard Dolan has dubbed the breakaway civilization? Although Kennedy may have been a part of this cabal, his words still ring true. Ultimately, the elite control all sides through the dialectic process, where the world is a stage and they pull the strings. Just as the aristocratic elite were replaced by a new political power structure during the French Revolution, in our time, there are also pre-planned power struggles that appear natural to the uninitiated observer. On a political level, we know this under the name COINTELPRO, short for Counterintelligence Program. It refers to the infiltration of political groups by the FBI during the early days of the Cold War. Nowadays, the term controlled opposition is most often used to describe resistance movements being deliberately built and controlled in order to neutralize the energy of the masses and channel it into activities acceptable to the elite. The process of dialectics, i.e. the study of opposites and their resolution, is a fundamental aspect of mass psychology. Usually on.
So can you imagine now that the deep state, the gatekeepers, they've always been the power ones. So they just live normal lives, they blend in. And this is who we've all experienced. They've always had the truth to a point to stop people finding God. when COVID come in, for a lot of us, we were waking up to the COVID, the big pharma and all that sort of stuff. These guys knew about that, but they looked at it as this bioweapon's going to kill them. The government are now retaliating on them. Trump's coming after them. And when they put this numpty on there, they know, because they're part of the evil system, they know how money laundering works. They know all the lies that take place within climate change. They know how the money, again, it always used to come down. All these different Red Cross things, all these wars, all these films and books, they all benefited from it. It always comes down. So you can imagine as Trump's going along, taking one at a time, sacking people, they know their players, and it comes down. And that's why they, 2020, they shouting through the rooftop, wake up, wake up. But they have to do it in a way where we're putting out as much truth as they can. And they broke away from the elites, big pharma, big tech, government, big corporation. They split because they thought, right, we're going to have to blend in. These people are so satanic. They're the ones that know how energy works. They're the ones that know how words and spells work. They're the ones that work together and try to get you to manifest something to actually take place to you by your words. They'll ask a question all strategically, or they'll put a suggestion in, knowing that you'll normally latch onto it. Then you invite in. So again, people, your word is the law at any time. So your intention is after a conversation, I am only contracted with God. I'm only contracted to God. I'm only contracted with God. 3 times. Confirm it again. Cool. Whatever just had that conversation, I'm not manifesting anything negative towards me. It's all deliberately. Like they might ask you to manifest someone, and then that someone through a different person comes into it. It's all set up. A great film to go and watch is called Derailed. Jennifer Anderson and Clive Owen. A must watch, actually. Derailed.
Emotionally loaded issues, the masses split into 2 opposite poles, thus creating a field of tension. To control people, it is necessary to control both poles of this field.
Both poles of this field. This guy knows, like this story, but this is not a conspiracy one or anything. This is just on YouTube. Look, Game of Chess, Kabul mentioned, JFK. These things are deliberately put there for a mass awakening. So when things happen, someone will see this and go, oh yeah, I remember that.
By controlling both poles, thesis and antithesis, the desired synthesis outcome can be predicted. The Kennedy assassination was a sort of alchemical process, as the American authors James Shelby Downard and Michael Hoffman describe in their work King Kill 33. The regicide is an ancient magical ritual that creates social renewal. Ritual regicide is well studied in research, see René Girard, James Fraser, and is found in all ages and societies. Big media events are, according to Downard and Hoffman, largely planned beforehand.
Again, look at this from the world above now. Like, it's all in plain sight. It always has been. These people have kept 4D from us because that's the power. If you start viewing it, like I was watching the birds today and I was watching it through 4D, they were spiraling and making shapes. Like, I hadn't seen it like that before. You just see it as flat. Everything you do, you'll see there's another level to it. It changes everything because people can't go into that space unless you come from love.
With the sole purpose to transform humanity. In the alchemical sense, it is about dissolving the divinely predetermined order to create a satanic order. Solve et coagula. For this purpose, such media-staged psychodrama is essential to reach the masses. Besides John F. Kennedy, we also see these staged dramas in the deaths of Princess Diana and Michael Jackson. Collective energy is built up to channel and ritually sacrifice the hope of the masses.
But can you see, he's saying it sounds negative, but that's what we need to do. We need to go to the precipice. We need to make sure that we've lost everything. So when we can see what we're fighting for, it's going to be all worth it. You have to lose everything in your life. Donald Trump's made that comment. I'm going to go away for a bit and just see like who is the truth when I come back. What have we lost? Like, there's so many things that you could say you've lost, but we needed that. Like, that's the coil. You have to go to the bottom to bounce back up again. So for me, all this is telling us that
we can observe this process again at present. If you are attentive, you can see in the current political developments all the signs of an artificial transformation of society orchestrated by shock. The uprooting from the past is the foundation for all further developments. Manly P. Hall, Freemason and initiated occultist, writes in his book, The Adepts in the Western Esoteric Tradition.
The alchemical tradition contains all the elements of a world program of enlightenment and reform. It requires only a superficial acquaintance with the philosophy and literature of alchemy in order to sense the magnitude of this concealed project. The alchemical laboratory became the shrine of the spiritual sciences, taking the place of the ruined sanctuaries of the ancient mysteries.
You can see how cool this is. It's leading us, pointing all the same people. So it's not a random video. This is again, it's prepping us. So I'm suggesting this whole new world is downstairs. I'm going to play a tiny bit more because I want you to start getting the imagination. I've been having deja vu ever since looking at all these buildings. If you search fair shows around the world, especially the ones in America, and some of the buildings that were left in America, they're like, how did these buildings come? We must have advanced technology. Tartaria is the lie, by the way. When people say, oh, Tartaria, go up and show me where Tartaria is. It's not new land, old. It's the world above us, the world that we all around now.
Turn to the breakaway civilization. This term was coined by Richard.
And all these books, when you say the breakaway civilization, if you look at it from our current view, 3D, it's like, oh, the elites, they're getting their own thing. They're not clever enough to do that. So look at this again, there's another world with good people, with all the creators, preparing something for this time. So watch it from that perspective.
Dolan in his book, UFOs and the National Security State. He came to the conclusion that an elite group with access to high technology and secret knowledge has followed its own path of development, independent of the rest of humanity. This allowed a parallel civilization to establish itself on Earth that we know little about today. According to Dolan, they probably live in huge interconnected underground bases. They are financed by black budgets, the visible part of which is called the deep state.
So black budgets, deep state. So again, double layers. It's financed by them because we've got all their money. All assets, every time we do a big arrest, all these old politicians and that, all assets seized. Like all that money goes back into us creating it. All the NASA thing goes into us creating. So think bigger. And knowing clever people and doing cash flows and all stuff like that, if they think long game, knowing the plan is that these people are going to be evil for a while, we're going to monitor everything. We're going to infiltrate their company. We're going to learn about, you take it all, you've put that in your cash flow. You're going to have all that money. So it is funded by the deep state and black money because we've then recycled it like Black Rock, all assets seized. That Black Rock, think about it, the word. That's where we're going to be going, the Garden of Eden, Black Rock.
But their structures go much deeper. They have their own view of the cosmos and our place in the world, of our history and our origins. They keep their knowledge secret, and much of their work is to keep the public ignorant. To quote Richard Dolan,
there is a clandestine group that possesses technology that is vastly superior to that of the mainstream world, the ability to explore areas of our world and surroundings presently unavailable to the rest of us. They have scientific and cosmological understandings that give them greater insights into the nature of our world, and a significant built-off-the-grid infrastructure, partially underground, that affords them a high degree of secrecy and independence of action. In our own official world history, you go back 200 years and compare levels of technology from Europe to, say, Central Africa, and you're talking about two vastly different ways of understanding the world. So really, what is the difficulty in understanding that a classified, secret scientific community would make radical breakthroughs that they wouldn't share? I don't think it's outrageous. And I do think this has happened since World War II. Now, one of the breakthroughs they've made is in what we call anti-gravity technology. Could this have happened in the 19th century? I don't think that it's impossible in theory. I have speculated privately many times whether there has been a secret breakaway group going back to ancient times. When you look at some of the really puzzling mysteries of our ancient world, whether it's the Great Pyramid of Giza or Machu Picchu, there are elements of those and other architectural sites that have been left behind that, to me at least, don't make a whole lot of sense in the context of human society as it then was supposed to have existed. The Great Pyramid doesn't make sense to me in terms of 2,500 years ago ancient Egyptian culture. I wonder if this was a human construct at the time, and what human civilization are we talking about here?
So what human civilization are we talking about? Just that was God's creation. When we first come out, we mostly could do all that, learn from the stars, learn from nature, then do what you can. And then obviously as the corruption goes, they hold that back. But these people know. So just try to get your head around it as well, people. Some of these stories you hear about, like in Japan, I said, I'd love to go to Japan, learn about Japanese history. Imagine if that world's been kept for us down there. I know it has. I know it all has now. And the thing is that they learnt the stars, they learnt the cycle. They would have been on the way up first. The video that I showed last week, they're still finding things in Norway now, which was at the bottom. In Norway now, and they said, oh, these are mostly 1,500 years old. So again, it's showing it's still going down. They would have trusted the skeleton or the body to know, right, this is the level that it's going to be changing. And these people always been ahead of the game. Again, think about it logically, like how, and I always thought that, how did God lose? Like if they're all God's children and they're all connected, how did the darkness take over? We let them. We let them. We created the systems knowing that in the grand scheme of things, we're so clever that they're going to fall into it to start with. Let a few generations pass by and then you catch them all. Again, the internet is the greatest way for that now.
From our official historical line of development is behind many of the events of the 20th century? And what of the World's Fairs? Were a large proportion of the World's Fair buildings actually built from scratch, as the official historiography claims? There is much to suggest that the robber barons of the industrial age not only hid once widespread technological knowledge from us, but that they also hijacked some of the impressive architectural masterpieces in which parts of this knowledge was displayed. Some of the buildings from the World's Fairs still exist today, and they are obviously not made of plaster or similar fragile materials. Were they subsequently rebuilt to be permanent structures? Is it even possible that the elaborately designed expo sites were built with the technological capabilities of the time within just a few months, only to be destroyed again a few months later after the exhibitions had ended? Or is it plausible that after a great catastrophe, the worldwide remains of the preceding high culture were not only systematically destroyed, but also pressed into an image of history imposed on us? Some available information suggests that even after the worldwide game-changing event we call the Reset or Mud Flood, there still remained countless complete and beautiful cities that were conquered by a new power elite and then repurposed as World's Fairs. Especially in America, the so-called New World, the many Greco-Roman cities would have been difficult to explain because, in contrast to Europe, the Americans do not have an official Greco-Roman history. The more carefully one investigates, the more difficult it becomes to find plausible explanations for the construction and destruction of these extraordinary and huge exhibition areas.
Doesn't this get you excited? That's waiting down for us. But yet they've had all the other time and years and discoveries to keep adding to it. So it's almost like they've saved these moments in time. So when we go back, we can go through time. All the clothes, all the people, indigenous, tribesmen, like everything. Think big, big, big. Bricks is a wall. There's going to be stopping us. And then they got the upper world and the lower world. So I feel that the Hunger Games is going to leave the criminals in the upper world. You decided to it. We can't take you out. You're God's children. The people that are fearing death penalty and treason, you're still giving your power away with the words, because that's not the law. But it's the fear of death that people hold on to because they're stuck in the mind. As soon as you go into the love space, you'll see you come back again. Always come back again. They just lied to you about that on the when we leave this world, go into the darkness, not the light.
The official version about the World's Fairs can be summarized as follows. People in the 19th century loved Greco-Roman architecture for reasons unknown, so it was extremely important to the architects who organized the World's Fairs between 1850 and about 1914 to build in a classical style. Note: with World War I, classical architectural ambitions in Europe ended abruptly, and many exhibitions also did not take place as planned. It was only in the wake of fascism that there was a return to ancient design principles, but these were often implemented superficially and were mainly applied to a few representative, magnificent buildings. After the Second World War, on the other hand, classical architecture was deliberately replaced with new trends, e.g. Bauhaus and brutalism. Officially, the intention was to create an aesthetic distance to fascism, but in all likelihood, its purpose was to cut the connection to the old world through soulless, brutalistic architecture. No effort was spared for the World's Fairs. Enormous amounts of work went into creating complex statues, ornaments, columns, parks, buildings, and even the world's largest organs. No expenses were spared in the making of these massive structures. Made of plaster and linen or hemp fibers, they were only intended to last for the duration of the expo. However, the attention to detail was so great that purely visually there seemed to be no difference between the expo buildings and the classical splendor buildings of antiquity. The purpose of the World's Fairs was to make the supposedly new technologies discovered during the Industrial Revolution palatable to the masses, to create new markets. In the end, most of the buildings were torn down, with only meadows or empty parks remaining.
So then you go to places like where all the other wars were, Cuba, Vietnam and stuff. They've been taking some of the stuff down there for the new world. I'm hoping people, let me just see if anyone has commented. No, not yet. What's your thoughts so far? Because it just makes complete sense. You leave your mark to say, we were here. Where's it gone now? And the criminal's like, how have you done that? But they're never going to get the truth. And the thing is, you can't have the truth fed to you. You have to go and get it yourself. So these people are stuck because they've been used to it so long. And it's a generational thing now that how are you, like, what's going to happen next? So even for 3D printers and where it's all in layers, I never understood it now until I realized you build from the top. That's how they work. Like all the technology is all going to be waiting for us, people. I won't play too much long. I'll let you watch it.
Quite a few fairs were enormous monetary losses. This is astonishing in that the initial motivation for the exhibition supposedly came from the industrialists themselves. The investment deficits could indicate that the fairs had a hidden agenda that was not profit-oriented. Berlin, Germany, 1896.
With an investment volume of 10 million Reichsmarks, the trade exhibition closed with a deficit of 2 million Reichsmarks, which Berlin's economy was left with. Unlike the accompanying colonial exhibition, which enjoyed generous state support from the Foreign Office, the trade exhibition had to manage without financial contributions.
Lübeck, Germany, 1895.
Although a total of 750,000 visitors came, the German Nordic Trade and Industry Exhibition closed with a financial deficit. The exhibition.
So the reason why I think they put all those deficits in was to anyone look back in time, they're like, there's no point doing that. We're not going to make money on it anymore. So they can't then encourage other people. Again, all done by design. I'm going to play just a tiny bit more and then we go on.
With definitive certainty. On closer examination, we notice a glaring contradiction. The alleged new building was decorated with the symbol of the swastika, which was revered as a good luck charm in old times. However, in the course of World War II, it got practically banned from public use in the USA. So why is it depicted on this new build from the 1960s? Despite the uncertainty, the palace seems to be one of the most popular examples when it comes to exposing the official Expo narrative as a lie. Yet, there are plenty of other, more obvious examples, the most interesting of which we will discuss during this documentary. It appears that the Expo organizers' plan always was to completely destroy everything after the exhibitions ended. However, this often resulted in a public backlash, meaning that at least some of these structures were preserved thanks to the public outcry. For example, the Palace of Fine Arts, the Bill Graham Civic Auditorium, and the Japanese Tea House still exist today. But what about the many photos that supposedly show construction and demolition of the world's fairs? It would be relatively easy to document only the demolition of those buildings that were actually only temporarily erected. Furthermore, there is the possibility that the photographs selling us the construction process were actually taken during the demolition of the buildings or during a renovation. Further meticulous.
So I'll leave it on that one, but just to show you that there's so much that we don't know. If it makes sense, where would you put it? With the land below? Why would they do that? Because every time we watch how history works, is the explorers, the finders will come first, and then the people come after and then take over through brute force and power and everything else. Whereas that we always know God there first. So it's like the sun and the moon chasing, and it's always been that way. And when the land gets bigger and bigger, there's harder to control more people. So you can start seeing why there's poverty in certain countries is, well, they're below us now. We're going to make it really hard for them. Before the planes come, like to even get above land, you would need a boat. The boats all really were made by the Brits and the explorers. So it was only when the Brits and stuff come over to inspire them to think, actually, we can do this. They mostly thought the world was in 3D up there, apart from the very top people. And then they've been keeping people slaves ever since, just on that basis. So this is really cool. Go and search the world fairs and go and look. The deja vu that comes from these buildings is magic. So if you go and look at some of these world fairs, look, some of the images. This is only like in the start of the 1900s and then the 1800s. I feel like World War I, again, all the bottom countries, the English countries, know about World War I and World War II. None of the above countries do. They don't know. We don't know about their history really, apart from the films that show us now. So I feel that we've all been psyoped knowing, first of all, we got more chance of finding God through a bit more space of freedom, through our words. Also, if they control everything else, they're leaving us clues all the time through creation. And I keep realizing now God speaks through all of us. All you have to do is be present. Then you've won. If not, I feel like the evil just works because it's God's story. So it's one or the other. If you choose to go evil, cool, you're on their team now. It doesn't make any difference to the outcome. It's just harder work. This is harder work. So I always look at our life now. Our life felt like we've been knocked down, we've been knocked over, we've been screwed over, but that's us going up the mountain, 3D all the way up. And it has been a struggle. And the harder it seems to get. And now we're in this point where we're almost at the very top, which means we got the whole place to look down. We choose our route on the way down, choosing love on the way down. Again, the allegories, people. So here's how I see it. I've got a real feeling that there's going to be a lot of people that's going to be swept up. FEMA camps and all these things that we've been taught. I feel like a lot of this is a fear aspect too. The new world is going to be just pristine, and it's going to be cultures. It's going to be, I reckon, a lot of rescued people have been going down there. When you talk about Tupac being on an island smoking a thing in Cuba, he's mostly down here. When celebrities get taken out, they're mostly down there. Like, there has to be a big world going down there. Animals from love. The buildings are going to be all immaculate. And all the words that we hear are been put out there for a reason. So when Trump says build the wall, I feel that there's a bit more, because a lot of the money was the budget from the military. I feel there's another wall. And I feel like BRICS is a big part of that wall as well, to put the wall up in those countries. And the only way that you can come in is through love. That's the only way God knows. And that's an energy. So did anyone watch Lost? There's a lot of symbols in Lost all the way through. So this stuck up with me. Look at this, as he's dressed as like a bandit, and there's a barrier that won't let him through. This is what I feel love's going to be.
Thank you.
Going forward, we should all do a better job of trusting.
That would be the fence. So your frequency would be the only way you can do that is be completely honest, completely true. I don't think some people are going to get the opportunity to, but however, if we are leaving for a world downstairs, everyone's going to go, I want to be down there because I'm going to be in this world now. And it's a big world. Most of us haven't even explored half of it. You're going to be left with every other criminal. So Hunger Games, when you've got the elite society and stuff, and we look at it from the perspective of, God, there's predictive programming. Flip it. It is predictive programming. We're looking down on them. We chose love. You made this choice. You now need to get God in your life, which is yourself. The only way you do that, you have to be honest and open to everything. And I don't think people are going to be able to do that. People, if you did my meditations, you'd get God every day, straight away. So these are things to start thinking about. And again, God only can really decide. 5G, God frequency, it's God energy. You ramp the vibrations up. All of a sudden, then you can start seeing, whoa. And again, how can you dismiss the technology when you see those buildings from the 1800s? It's impossible to. How could you? So I feel that that's going to be a part of it. And I have said that for a while, is that a lot of people that struggle with the viruses and the vax and stuff is fear. All the things inside the body is fear. When people keep talking about, are they going to be all right if they've had a vax? Stop mentioning a vax. That's an excuse for people dying now. It's change. It's working on their self. It's choosing to turn up every day. Love. Love is the universal. But look at some of these. 1901. An aerial view print. Oh, yeah. And then I looked at the Sears catalogue. This is what it's going to be like. Our 4D printers are going to be able to get all this done for us, or 5D printers, should I say. When the Sears catalogue sold everything from house to hubcaps. So the reason why I feel like they've held cannabis too is because they got rid of it from us. So we've just kept it in the new world, but we got all the education to go with it too. And it's only been recently where America have had a number of states now where they've legalized it. I feel that that's being put in deliberately, knowing that when people do have it, they are going to be starting connecting. Again, if you come from love, you create. But look, all this old stuff, it's inspiring, because all of a sudden, everything that we never got to experience, but you've heard stories on, because there's no such thing as time travel. Time is just light. in our own time, in energy, we're going to be down there. We're going to be able to travel wherever we want to. And you can imagine the world being in unity and stuff as well, and one currency, because there won't be money, because it's all got, we've deserved it. We've had our test. We've all gone through it, or we're going to have the option and the space. And soon I feel like we're going to even have a lot more. So crazy things, but when someone has lost a loved one and people say, I just want them back, you'd be able to get them back in hologram. Easy. See all the films and stuff. Would you want it though? And then you realize what the truth is about the energy and stuff. But it's things like that. If you could have one more day with that person, what would it be? And I guarantee your mind would go, where would you go? What place? What setting? What moment to recapture? You've got that in there. They're the moments, they're the snapshot in time. What's a snapshot? It's in there. It's in one of our cells. It's just got to come out, something to trigger it. We can get that back, people. So my encouragement is the more you're present, and it's those moments where you are present because you remember it. So as you go through your day, set the intention, fully present, now, here, now, one. You win the day every day. Another thing, imagine if they said, right, you need to describe your loved one to me. We'll create it, describe them. I realized that sometimes I don't look at the finer details on people, and I couldn't tell you because I don't pay attention that much. Your eyes are powerful. I was just seeing some heroes in there, and there's this guy called George Henry Thomas, and it was just funny how I found him all. But he was called the Sledge of Nashville, Slow Trot Thomas, or Pap Thomas. But look at all the battles and wars. All the battles would have been for different areas and land back then, and they're defending their territory. So this is why it is important, all the wars that have gone on, and I guarantee we've all been soldiers within it. Then we come back and choose UK or America because we're continuing that fight again. Some people say, well, this time around, actually, I want to go and experience somewhere else. It's a whole system. It's energy. We're all energy beings, light beings. So that is all really I've got to go on there. Cannabis is the best. You've got cannabinoids in your body. One thing that anyone should do, any illness, any cancers, anything, endocannabinoid system. Your endocannabinoid system is your most powerful healing system, and it's all there just to balance you out. The cannabinoids are identical, a bind to THC. My insights, all that got sparked through cannabis. I can now have months without it, which I have, and my insights and downloads are crazy. But I feel like it's me going through my life. Like the other day, I was like, oh, actually, I was the highest point in Arizona, in the belly of the beast, and I was above them all. That's why I saw it. Well, I was above them all. That's my truth now. No one can take that away from me. That's it. I've got power. Me, you, we all got the power if we tell ourselves that. If you add it into your environment. So here's one that I want you to think about. And this is a great way to let go of attachment. Imagine you've got around you a whole circle of people. It's massive. Everyone in your life. And you know there's some of the worst people, some people you hated, some people you had fights with, some of your loves, exes. Imagine you could have all of them there. And you're going to soon start going up straight at the middle. You've got a lift that's going to take you up. And as you go up, you're going to see the influence of people in your life. People that have had more, I guess you can call them teaching, more influence. People that were really like a hindrance on you. People that held you back. People that just mugged you off. Go up. And then start seeing the people in your life. And you keep going up. Who's up there at the top with you? If you go right to the top, who can you honestly have right at the top with you? And then a further question to that. If you was to be offered 2 years to go alone, to find yourself, but it's all financed, your family, your friend, everyone was looked after that you chose, would you take that? Would you take that? Unlocks healing, me, God, love that. Anyone else, people? So if you put yourself right at the top, who's then the next layer down? It's like the ones that you really trust. But you walk down to them, you can invite them back up. But anyone then below that, if they come into your life, check the energy first. That should be the first part. Fear of love, duality. I realize now why 666 And these people are like, look, 666, it's the devil. It's also of the man. 666, you've got duality, which is 2, yin and yang. 3 is 666. It's in the middle of the numbers 3, 6, 9. It's the 3-part being. It's right in the middle of the duality. The Nazi sign is 4D, 4 dimensions. So we've even got in there and put our signs all in plain sight. Symbols are God. So even if they didn't know, they've created something. The power we hold within being unmasked, empowering oneself. Exactly. Denise Beebe, yes. Jenna, yeah. Tesla energy, yeah. And look at that. Tesla energy, it's coils. It's coils. Again, the way the world works. Follow the sun. 369. That, for me, people, always changed my life as well. Every numbers that come my way now, I make my decisions if it's 3, 6, or 9. And I treat it as a gift. Like if I get, the other day I bought some food, 33 it come up. And I wanted to kind of share it and say, that's God. I keep them to myself. Smoking or gummies, either. Again, your energy. Nothing is bad unless you tell it. So I even learned sugar. They tell you sugar's bad, but sugar's the most fine energy, the quickest to get you straight up to source. They want you to eat meat, the most heavy, and it's life, and it's all the other stuff that's dead within you. Sugar, if you set the intentions, what we eat, sugar's bad, sugar's making me fat. Of course, you're going to get fat. But if you was a cyclist doing a 12-hour race, you put sugar, you put all sorts of stuff in you. You burn it all off. It's energy. You're in control. Bluetooth headphones are so bad for you. If you believe it is, who told you that? The people give you the information. Bluetooth is the vibrations that go through your teeth, which is a great way to connect with God. Drugs are so bad for you. Drugs is a precursor to what God is. If they said, look, this is an example of God, you can do that now. You've got to work on it. You already know what it feels like. You already know what the experience is to kind of search for it. But they tell you it's bad and they keep you hooked on this horrible feeling after. And you're chasing all the time. Hero win. Hero, I win. You get the God. They say the heroin is the most amazing first one, but it's the most evil after. They know that. And they've done horrible stuff with that drug. But people were told that are recovering, that was God that you got to. That's why you were chasing it so much. God doesn't come in an explanation. It comes in this moment where you do want to chase it, but you only chase it when you didn't realize you had it. You've got it all within you the whole time. I'm not sure I trust anyone. So change it, Wigspot. Where does that, if you don't trust anyone, then who does it leave you to trust? You. Raved in the 90s, bliss. Some of these meditations, Monk, take you to that place. But you've had the rave. It's like when people say, oh, my breath work does DMT. My meditations get you a DMT experience, releases DMT. But they've never done DMT. You cannot make that statement unless you've done DMT. No, you can't. No, you can't even in the slightest. Because even if you got a whiff of it, you wouldn't know where it was. You couldn't put it into words. It's the most amazing, unexplainable experience. But now I've been up that so high, I can definitely accept God from every other form a lot easier. Same with the human experience. The further down the world you go, the more cultures to see, the more knowledge, the more insights, the more sight, you're more empowered. That's God. You. So it's experience, life, everything about it. Stop waiting for other people to spoon feed you. Go and see something, search. Just do your own search on your own on one thing and watch what you find. There's an algorithm going on for us people. If you go on YouTube, go and look at the suggested post. There'll be one that pops up. Click on it. Then you'll go, oh, that makes sense. It's a world war, informational war. There's a war strategy for us. Honestly, we're key people. We've gone through the hardest part of this. If you look down and look where some of our loved ones are, if you looked at it as a ladder, some of them haven't even made it into the step of the moon. The staircase of disbelief, they haven't even gone up any of that. We're going in the whole life now, and people and things that really have importance to us. We see the truth in terms of the opposite end of the spectrum. So when we go into this new world, what is the buildings? It's taken away God. What is the movies? Taken away God. What is the sports? Taken away God. All these things have taken God away from us. Then they push the extremes, again, us, trans, to the extreme, because some people still go that way. You push the human trafficking to the streams because you get a lot of people that get hooked in and start reporting it all. Human trafficking, again, the cover is sex trafficking, child trafficking, which is minor compared to human trafficking, which is us. We've all been trafficked, and there's a lot of people watching. I'm going to say less and less now. I know people are getting taken away already. I know they are, and I know it's coming even more soon. What come up today that I saw? I saw something today. I'm like, there's a sign for spirals as well. Oh, what did I say today? I'll figure it out. It was almost to say that the energy's swirling around now. Like we're good to go. What movies did you say? Derailed. It's a great one. The Sum of All Fears will show you everything. Actually, let me get a Q post up. 2 secs. I did do a screenshot of one the other day because it says if you are following Q, then you should follow this film as well. The movie Splash has actor Tom Hanks in it. Splash equals missile time of flight is expired or missile destroyed, target or bomb impact. Fox 3 stimulated actual launch of active radar guided missile. So the films do leave us clues. I do have one. Oh, here we go. Let me share screen again. So double meanings, people, like I said earlier. Right. All movie references made by Q should be mandatory viewing for all Anons, including White Squall, Godfather 3, The Hunt for Red October, The Sum of All Fears, and Iron Eagle. Look, Iron Eagle has a double meaning exist, telling us. So treat now the movies. And again, you can see, if people can't see it, they're holding on to something. Netflix is showing us all the truth. It didn't in 2020, but it needed us to get the duality. Go and watch Invasion. It's brilliant. I think there's 1 episode left of season 2. Amazing, but listen to the words. Kind of look at the bigger thing. You connect with the higher power. You're always one. You ask. You go with your gut intuition. All these things are taking place. We can now relate it back to us. Knowing that there is a lot more good people in this world, knowing that we don't feel like that at the moment because we're around the highest of the highest criminals. It's the devil worshippers. It's the syndicate as a whole world enterprise. It's the parasite that runs from head. That's why they're panicking with Hamas now. That's at the very top. That war is mostly the clean out already taking place at the top now. We'll have America and we'll end up meeting in the middle. That's how I see it now. The red wave, the first domino, and again, look it from a hill. This for me, I've said since September. And a shout out to Charlie Freak for that, and Justin Carpenter, because they got me onto that. And a lady called Carol, if you're watching, because she was the one who made me go and watch it. Because she said, "You seen Charlie Freak's one on Ellen?" She's white at and Tom Hanks, and I'm like, "No, they're not. Tom Hanks is not. I've already done it all. Not Ellen. They're the worst. I did all that." And I remember when I'm listening to it, I'm going, "No, it can't be. It can't be." And I'm driving home in the New Forest. And then I started looking at all of this. So Freemasons are the ones that leave the clues in plain sight. Think about the creativity on them buildings. Think about the creativity to even do the compass and the map. Well, they've obviously done creativity of this war as well. They've obviously known that they had to dumb everyone down. You keep the nations above exactly the same. Like they're not really involved with this. They don't need to be because they've been dumbed down and kept restricted for many, many years. The ones at the very top. And where did Trump go first? Saudi. Where did he go second? Israel. Where did he go third? Vatican. Where did he go fourth? NATO. All the big players straight away there. And then you can start seeing all these different things that get the uranium cut, come out the climate Paris Accord cut. This whole system is losing their money. So that's how they all start connecting with each other. And I've gone through many different groups now, and they come and they disappear. And I always know now how they're not on my team. Is when I had people quite close, and they, how can I help? What do this? It was always the meditation that I always wanted help with. Can we get this out? Not once. I never got help. Like with all the people that did it, never got help on any of that stuff. Like this stuff changes lives, and there was no, and beyond that, no one wanted to do it. These people that want the truth, they got big audiences, didn't want to share the stuff out. I'm like, why would you not? Because that is the bit that gets us out of 4D, or gets us into 4D first and understands it, but gets us higher than that. That's the sum of all fears for all of them. The staircase of disbelief. Who is at the top? Who is at the top? You are. You're going down the staircase now. That's all you got to do. Don't think about the top. That question alone means someone's above you. Start at the top and you're looking down in your kingdom. The lowest level down is the biggest enemy. I feel like Saudis, there's been a massive clear up, shift up from that anyway. Saudis paid for all the other stuff. Afghanistan war, that was to remove all evil across all those ones. You're seeing a lot of military activity in Africa at the moment, in the African countries. Ukraine war, for me, that's already operation going ahead. Afghanistan withdrawal was the way that they put all the equipment there. Hamas going off now, because you're going to see tanks and all this sort of stuff, you feel, but the military work in many other ways. So who's at the top now? Oh, yes, the domino. First domino fall in America, it says that. Think about the hill. And I've said since that time, September, when you search RICO, the first and only post that comes up is Arizona. Arizona will be the first domino to fall. Maricopa County. And then I feel like on their little ladder, on the belly of the beast, the highest one was Carrie Lake. Carrie Lake's just been put forward by Trump for Senate. And the post now keeps talking about this guy called Ruben Giuliano. Never spoke about him before. Followed her for a good 3 years. She's never spoke, just all of a sudden now. And Biden, and we need a fair wall, and she's the top dog. And then ones at the top around her or in their little network, Charlie Kirk, he's actually in Arizona. Then you've got people like Glenn Beck was the Sound of Freedom. So you could see there's different levels to it. And then you've got some of the mainstream truthers, then the lower truthers. And there is a hierarchy. There's a hierarchy system. And the people know to not react. A reaction gives everything away. Why would you react when you're in the truth? And that's how you can catch people out, as reaction. But the closer we get into the reveal, the panic kicks in because it is game over for them. And the thing is, as well, I know that in the new world, that people, I look at God's war. So we are children of God. Dark or light is just the t-shirts we've worn. I feel that there is going to be an opportunity for people. Again, like if there was to put it back, have these people helped us? Many people in this movement say they changed my life. They're the reason why I am here. So in the last 3 years, they've done good, but they're still doing bad. If they let go of doing bad and just start doing this now, I feel that there's always going to be opportunity. You bought into death penalty. You bought into treason. If you bought into it, you're gonna get that coming your way. You're manifesting it. So I encourage people, still go do your meditation. Stop going to Jesus Christ. Stop asking for Jesus Christ. Ask God first to send you Jesus Christ if you want it all. Stop asking for your Palladian and Galactic Federation people. Ask God to send those people. Ask God. Let go of the story and the lies that you've been holding on to that you're now defending. Only Jesus can save you. What's going to happen when he comes? You can save yourself now. Energy. That's what I mean, people. Like, we got to let go of stories. They're stories, all of them. You are the truth, and you could change it all. We just can't admit when we have done wrong. Denise, Berber, good night all. See you in the meditation. See you tomorrow. Yeah, so I'm hoping that's inspired a few people to think a bit bigger. I'd say go look at the fair shows. There has to be a reason why they put them up and took them down. And what they did put up was just magnificent. We're saving it for something bigger. And for me, that is worth fighting for. For me, that is exciting. And it reconfirms that, yeah, everything that we've done over the last few years has been for a bigger purpose. Think about your kids. Think about their kids. And to think, some of us said, we don't want my kids growing up in this world. This world here, there's something else waiting for us. And the thing is, love can change people quickly. I look at the example of dogs, stray dogs or dogs that just get left, and they're all in fear and they attack. 2 or 3 days, different dog. That's humans. If we lose the words, lose the labels, lose our past, just be the dog. The opposite of dog is God. And that's your starting point. And then it's the willingness to go and learn, which you're going to want to. It's knowing that you can just get by in a good world and do what you want, go where you want, be with who you want, and knowing that everyone around you now is coming from a place of love. So how do we like work on that? Yourself. It's magic. Put your ego to sleep in your time and see what you hold within. Exactly. So time, you flip it back, emit. So you emit your light. You had to go. So if we go from God's perspective, from the star down, he's learned lights, he's learned this, then he's got land, then he's got water, then he's got spirals, then he's going to do animals, which is on a collective, then it's going to do individual thought. Like, he's been working through all this, getting to know himself. We're just part of the story. And we keep coming back in 3D. We're only 3 dimensions down from our comprehension. There's a lot more to go. Quantum is a way that is showing us how it can be done, because that's how our body works. If you keep asking questions all the time, there'll be a period in the day, keep asking questions, answers will come. It'll get you looking out for it. I'm connecting so much now, but this story is helping me. And you can't refute it. And if it hasn't happened yet and more people are starting to see it and connecting the dots, I'm guaranteed that more of that's going to come in. So people, thank you for watching these last few. This for me, it's a game changer. For me, it just shows you that we are powerful and this is a spiritual war, and there are people that have known that. And they've done everything, and we're going to start seeing people that have come into our life have been there on purpose. They mock you in plain sight. They tell you what they're going to do in plain sight. They use your words from someone else, and then they spread them with each other, and they work out a plan how they're going to get you next. Another film to go, a series to go and watch, Down the Rabbit Hole. It shows you how they do it. Treat the good guys in that as the way that the bad guys operate, and then flip it in terms of the outcome. What happens? It's again perspective. Take it from your perspective, knowing where we are now. Everything you watch, you're going to go see the levels. You're going to hear the words. You're going to see the clues, the numbers, 17, 33, Freemason, this. It's all there. It's all there. So I'm off anyway, and I will catch you all very, very soon. Take care, everyone.